Live from Minute Maid Park in Houston, Texas, CSN Houston brings you Houston Astros baseball. Tonight, it's Game 2 of this 7-game homestand and the second of a 4-game series between the Astros and the Cleveland Indians. Good evening, everybody. Bill Brown and Alan Ashby and Layla Rahimi joins us in just a few moments to talk about the Astros win last night 3-1 and talk about what lies ahead. They've won 5 straight at home now, and this will be their best home record since 2010, Ash.
Coming off that 5-4 road trip, a good one against some good teams on the West Coast. And yes, it's been a solid season, Brownie at home, and they keep on winning against quality teams.
And Jose Altuve keeps on collecting hits. Another 3-hit game last night. There's where he stands.
Start of the month with a 4-hit game. Now he gets 3 hits last night. He's had 5 consecutive multi-hit games, and he goes on and on. One more to get to Craig Biggio, and he's on a pace right now to get to 225 on the year. That would be quite a season. It already is, but 63 multi-hit games. He's the major league leader, leads in average hits, stolen bases, first to lead the American League in those categories since Ichiro. That says an awful lot. That back in that huge 2001 year, and a career high 54 RBIs this year. Just a stellar year for Jose Altuve.
And he's about to go where no Astro has ever gone, so let's take a look at what he's been doing lately. The same thing he's been doing all year, Ash.
Nothing new about it. Not one bit, and he hits both lines. He'll drive balls through the holes with the best of them. I believe he has 40 infield hits this year. That speaks a lot to the wheels he's shown all season long, and stealing bags to show that as well. But Jose Altuve, it was June 19th that he got over 330 with the batting average. He has not relinquished that at the end of a ball game since then. So he has carried on very consistently, and really phenomenal stuff. 45 hits in the month of May. That was his high water mark for the season. Hasn't quite matched it, but boy, he just keeps going, like we say, keeping those numbers out of reach for anybody else.
With machine-like precision. But tonight, and there are always challenges, a particular challenge tonight facing Corey Kluber.
Tough right-hander for the Indians. He has eaten up right-hand hitters over the course of the season. He's 4th in the league in ERA, so you get a lot right there. How about he strikes out pushing toward 10 per 9 innings on the course of the season? Corey Kluber is not going to be an easy assignment for anybody. And then you consider what's on the mind of Jose Altuve going into the game tonight, trying to maintain the numbers that he's putting up. You know that batting race means a lot to him. Corey Kluber, we could show you stuff from him all year long. He has been among the best.
Coming up, as Jose Altuve chases history, he rubs elbows with an Astros legend and one of Houston's most beloved heroes. What does Craig Biggio think of Altuve's chase for the single-season hits record? Layla Rahimi joins us with more when we come back.
At Minute Maid Park, and it is appropriate as you see those Astros memorial signs hanging proudly outside the ballpark as we welcome in Layla Rahimi filling in for Julia Morales as part of our team this series. And Jose Altuve tallied 3 hits against the Indians last night as he just continues to do what he's done all season, which is hit well and now lead Major League Baseball with 209 hits. He is one short of Craig Biggio's Astros record of 210, which he hit in 1998. And Biggio was asked before the game about what he thought regarding Jose Altuve's chase for history. And here's what Biggio had to say about what Altuve has done so far.
I'm happy for him. I mean, he's a young man that he's had an unbelievable season swinging a bat, and he's got a lot to be proud of. And there's something that it's only a number, and then sooner or later somebody else is going to come by and hopefully pass him by. Which means if they do that, it means we got some good players, and that's what it's all about.
I asked the Astros legend as well in that interview session about what he thought about the feeling he had when he was able to reach that milestone. And he said that was an Astros team that wasn't just concerned about hits. Not that Altuve was, of course, but the Astros had a lot of things going on. They won the NL Central that year. He said, we were concerned about going to the playoffs and trying to win the World Series. But that is not to knock on what Jose Altuve has done and what he hopes to do in this series. Stay with us here as we get ready for the second game of this series. And if Jose Altuve plans on catching Craig Biggio, he'll have to earn it against one of the league's best pitchers this season, Corey Kluber. He'll take the hill next.
Separated by generations, from different countries and different walks of life. 2 men, different yet the same. United by position, by perseverance, by passion, and by the place they play.
Line drive right center field. That's number 3,000.
2 men on a collision course with history.
Back-to-back 4-hit games for Jose Altuve. 93.
2 superstars. 2 Houston heroes. 1 record.
And Jose Altuve is at 209 hits for this season as this game starts tonight. The Astros and the Indians playing game 2 of a 4-game series. Altuve with 3 hits last night, getting him to 209 this season. He leads the batting race with a .342 average. An 11-point lead over Victor Martinez of Detroit, who's hitting .331. That's a subplot tonight, and a very important one for Astros fans. But Corey Kluber will present a challenge for these Astros hitters. He is having a fantastic season. Here's the starting lineup for the Tribe, who are trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. It's Michael Bourn, the former Astro, in center field. Jose Ramirez at shortstop. Michael Brantley in left field. Carlos Santana at first base. Jason Kipnis is at second base with Lonnie Chisenhall at third. Yan Gomes is the catcher. The DH batting eighth is Jason Giambi. And in right field, it's Houston native David Murphy. Against the rookie, Nick Tropiano.
Tropiano, 24 years of age. He's 1-0. One major league start, picked up a W in that one. That at Seattle against the Mariners. Team in contention at the time. And Tropiano pitched very well. He showed a fastball that he can spot. A nice slider, a changeup that dominates left-hand hitters on the minor league level this year. The numbers with left-hand hitters says Tropiano just doesn't worry about these guys.
And on that minor league level, he won the ERA championship in the Pacific Coast League with a 3.03 ERA for the Oklahoma City Redhawks, going 9-5 with a whip of 0.99. Michael Bourn gets it started. First pitch received by Max Stassi is ball one. Bourn had .264, has 3 homers, 26 runs batted in. He had a hit in 4 at-bats last night, reached on an error and scored a run. It's a 2-ball, no strike count. Tropiano in those 5 innings at Seattle. Walked 2 and fanned 5. It's in the air to shallow left field toward the line. Robbie Grossman coming over. It dunks in for a pop fly hit. And a leadoff single for Michael Bourn.
That's a crazy game. Sometimes you can make perfect pitches as a pitcher, and that was a good one. Guy doesn't have to hit it well and get a base hit, but of course things go the other way as well. And so now that battle ensues with the leadoff man getting on base.
Jose Ramirez, the 21-year-old shortstop, at .255, has 1 homer, 12 runs batted in. There's strike one. Angel Hernandez is calling the balls and strikes tonight. Ramirez in last night's game was 0 for 3 with a sac bunt. He had a big series against the Astros in Cleveland. Paul Nauert, Vic Carapazza, and Larry Vanover join Angel Hernandez on this umpiring crew. And a swing and a miss there by Ramirez puts him behind in the count, 0-2.
There's the changeup that we talked about against the lefties in particular. And he's had left-hand hitters just swinging way out in front on that pitch.
Tropiano trying to join select company of those who have won their first 2 major league starts for the Astros. 1-2. J.R. Richard did it in 1971. Mark Lemongello did it in 1976.
Tropiano a bit like McHugh starting last night, where that fastball was missing badly on that arm side for the right-hander.
Yeah, he sure was. And then he came back in with a lot of good breaking stuff last night, and Colin very effective in lowering his ERA to 2.66, giving up no earned runs in 6 2/3 innings and winning the game to go 10-9 for the season. That's a foul tip and a strikeout for out number 1.
Defensively for the Astros tonight, behind Nick Tropiano, we'll start it in the outfield, left to right, Robbie Grossman, Dexter Fowler, and Alex Presley. On the infield left side, Gregorio Petit. He's been moved around lately. He's at third. Marwin Gonzalez gets the start at shortstop. On the right side, Jose Altuve and John Singleton. Max Stassi with Tropiano, the teammate from the minor leagues, gets the start behind the plate.
Stassi caught him in his first major league start. Things went well, so this battery is back together again. Second major league start for Stassi as well as his battery mate. Now Michael Brantley takes a look at strike one. He's in the top 10 in batting average in the American League at .322. That's accompanied by 19 homers, 94 runs batted in, and a .381 on base percentage for Brantley. Brantley collected 2 hits last night, a double and a single. Cleveland managed 7 hits and lost 3-1 to Houston. It's 1-1. The Tribe has hit the doldrums at a very rough point of the season. Nick Tropiano was drafted by the Astros in 2011 in the 5th round. He went to Stony Brook University. He's a New York native. Listed at 6'4". He just turned 24. That's off the plate, and the count goes to 2-1 on Bradley.
Michael Brantley has the mechanics of a guy that looks like he's going to be around for a long time as a very good hitter.
This was his first All-Star selection. Runner going. Ground ball as the shortstop Gonzalez went to cover second, and that ball into left center field is a single for Bradley. Bourne to third. It's 1st and 3rd and 1 out.
You know, it occurs to me as you see the occasional hit and run in Major League Baseball where you take that guess as a hitter which infielder is going to cover and you try to shoot it through that side, the vacated side. That ought to be an approach that starts to develop more and more for hitters when you have shifts on.
Excellent point. Now 2 men on for Carlos Santana. The powerful first baseman has driven in 80 runs. He has 27 homers with a .234 batting average. But even though the batting average is low, his on base average is .365 because he's drawn 102 walks to lead the American League. Altuve shifted over on the pull side for Santana. Marwin Gonzalez is moving up the middle now. As you can see him, he's going to be on the first base side. Santana looks at ball 1. Tropiano last year was at AA Corpus Christi. He was 7-10 with a 4.11 ERA there. He led the Texas League in strikeouts with 130 in 133 innings. Foul back, and it's a 1-ball 1-strike count. So he's been on that radar screen for the Astros ever since he was drafted in the 2011 season. His minor league ERA for 4 career seasons is 3.26. He was the 2-time America East Conference Pitcher of the Year at Stony Brook. Bradley is 21 for 22 in stolen bases. Second best stolen base percentage in the American League. Santana hits one foul. That is almost upper deck foul for a 1-ball 2-strike count. He's delivered 11 of 26, 42%, well below the American League average. In these situations, runner at third, less than 2 outs. That's where a lot of the big RBI guys shine. Ground ball, Altuve diving, gets it to the pitcher Tropiano, and the run scores to make it 1-0. Good play by Altuve. Santana gets RBI number 81 with Bourne scoring, and Bradley moving into second base.
Now that defensive placement works out well for the Astros here, and Altuve making another spectacular diving play. He's been all over the place defensively in recent games. Play like this can really save a pitcher from what could turn into a big inning against him.
Ball 1 to Jason Kipnis. Good movement behind the plate by Max Stassi to scoop that one up. Kipnis has had a very disappointing year. .243, 6 homers, 41 runs batted in. And the last 6 games in particular have not produced much in the hit column for Kipnis. Tropiano guides it in, and it's a 1-ball 1-strike count. Kipnis has been dealing with a strained right oblique that was from much earlier this season. He signed a lucrative multi-year contract extension earlier this year. 1 ball 2 strikes. He's really one of the key players for the Tribe offensively, as identified by one of those guys who would receive the multi-year deal. Last year he was an all-star. He hit .284, belted 17 homers, drove in 84 runs. Signed a 6-year $52.5 million deal. Rolled, and Singleton is there. Slips a little bit, but tosses to Tropiano for out number 3. It's 1 run, 2 hits, and a man left. Altuve makes an excellent play. What will he do with the bat? We'll begin to find out in just a moment. Tom Lawless and his club 8-4 in the month of September. Jack in the Box brings you the starting lineup. It begins with the birthday boy, 25-year-old Robbie Grossman as of today. He's in left field with Jose Altuve at second base, Dexter Fowler in center field, Chris Carter the DH, Marwin Gonzalez batting fifth tonight at shortstop. Then it's John Singleton at first base, Max Stassi the catcher, Alex Presley in right field, Gregorio Petit at third base.
Well, the Indians, 28-year-old right-hander Corey Kluber on the hill. He's a good one. Former fourth-round pick by the Padres. Then back in 07, he's putting up very good numbers this year, all-star-like numbers. Fourth in the league in ERA. He's a 15-game winner, and it's going to be a tough night for the hitters against this guy.
Robbie Grossman celebrating his 25th birthday. He's in that customary leadoff spot. And there's ball one from Kluber. Grossman has extended his hitting streak to 7 games by going 1 for 4 last night. That hit was a double last night. He's hitting .333 during his 7-game streak. Punches that one foul, and it's a 1-ball, 1-strike count. So Robbie, born 25 years ago on this day, and Steve Sparks, Astros radio broadcaster, are both celebrating. Spark and his wife Michelle were married 25 years ago today. A few hours difference in those exact moments. It's a 2-ball, 1-strike count. And Jose Altuve's on deck. Fans are watching his every move. The Astros have won 10 of 14. Grossman's been a big part of that. 3 balls and a strike. Nolan Ryan, Craig Biggio among those in attendance tonight. Bidge might skip out early because his daughter Quinn has a volleyball game. But he would love to see Mr. Altuve join him with 210 hits. Grossman takes a leadoff walk from Kluber. He's been stingy with walks this year. And now Altuve. The fans up for the moment to see if he can tie Biggio with hit number 210.
Yeah, when you look at what Kluber has done this year, he's allowed less than 8 hits per 9 innings. Good figure, and so the assignment is a challenging one for Altuve.
He's on a 5-game hitting streak, and they are 5 straight multi-hit games, going 11 for 21. He chops one high to third. Here's the throw to second for the force, and Kipnis does not get the double play. Chisenhall to Kipnis for out number 1. Fowler will be batting now.
Altuve going right after that first thing he can handle, maybe up out of the strike zone, but it's part of the game of Altuve. Nothing new there. But I think it probably speaks a bit to how he would like to go about business. Just swing the bat as much as possible.
Very aggressive. He had a couple of 2-strike hits last night. Now he's aboard for Dexter Fowler. Altuve leads the league in steals, but Kluber has been very tough on base stealers. Fowler looks at ball one, checking in at 272 for this game with 8 homers, 33 runs batted in for Dexter. Fowler 0 for 3 last night, but he did deliver a run with an 8th inning sacrifice fly after an Altuve triple. The throw goes over. There have been 8 stolen bases in 17 tries. So the base stealers under 50% successful with Kluber on the mound. And Yan Gomes throws well.
And that's part of it. Yan Gomes, good throwing catcher. The Indians wound up picking him up from the Toronto Blue Jays, and he's turned into more than a lot of people thought he might be.
1 ball, 1 strike to Fowler.
Not everybody, however. I got a glimpse of Yan Gomes in his early days with Toronto, and I thought this kid's going to be a good catcher.
They should have listened to you, eh?
If only.
Shortstop Ramirez up the middle, so Fowler has a good amount of room on both sides of third baseman Lonnie Chisenhall. That's a wicked pitch down and in, a late movement right under the hands of Fowler. It's 1-2 for Kluber, and he has been the main man on this Indians pitching staff.
Of course, just as a clarification, back in the day, I thought that Ryne Sandberg was going to have a tough time as a major league hitter, so take it as you will.
Altuve starts and stops. The ball's fouled back. Oh, Kluber with 15 wins, his 4th in the league in innings pitched with 212. He's 3rd in strikeouts with 230. Very difficult assignment, beating Corey Kluber. Last time out, he beat the Twins. He was 2 outs away from his 2nd straight complete game. He beat them 8-2. He's completed 3 games, and he has 1 shutout this year. Chris Carter's on deck. In tight end, it's 2-2. Kluber has good velocity, a nice assortment of pitches, and he's had 30 consecutive starts, allowing no more than 4 earned runs. That's the longest currently in the majors. He's the first Indian pitcher to win 15 since Cliff Lee went 22-3 in 08. He's made 2 career starts against the Astros. He's won both of those. 2-0 with a 1.93 earned run average against Houston for his career. And he looks over to Altuve. Altuve has just about sewed up, for all practical purposes, the stolen base title in the American League. He has a big lead in that department, has a huge lead in hits, an 11-point lead in the batting race. So if he winds up leading in all 3 of those, he's done something very rare. Fowler's down on strikes. Ichiro, the last player to lead in all 3 of those when the season ended back in 01. 2 outs now. And it's Chris Carter batting.
So you're saying that Altuve's in a position to have a year like Ichiro did back in his early days when he was just tearing it up.
Wasn't he, though? He was the rage of the American League back at those times. Carter with 36 homers is 2nd in the American League to Nelson Cruz's 39. Infielders shift around, playing him to pull. That leaves him the right side of the infield. And it's strike 1 to Carter. Carter is 0 for 10 against Indian pitching this year. Ichiro was a whirling dervish back in 01. Terry Francona's club has gone sour. Swept at Detroit 1-1. This is a 10-game road trip. 0-4 to start the trip on to Minnesota after this 4-game series. And now just 3 games above 500. 6 games out in the race for the second wild card spot in the American League. 7.5 games out in the AL Central behind the Tigers. Altuve goes. There's a ball drilled by the shortstop Ramirez into left field. And runners are at first and second on the single by Carter. Altuve took off on the pitch. Carter's 12-game hitting streak ended last night 0-4, but this time he starts a new one.
You can see hitting streak in this shorter swing right now. He is just short, quick to the ball, and picking up sliders, able to lay off pitches that are marginally out of the strike zone. Very different looking hitter right now.
He sure is, and he powered that one right through the shift. Now Marwin Gonzalez in the 5 spot in the order. Brings a .268 average into the batter's box for this at bat. Marwin's gone deep 6 times with 22 runs batted in for Gonzalez. Tom Lawless has been jockeying 3 different shortstops in the starting lineup in recent days. Gregorio Petit has had some starts there, and so has Jonathan Villar. That's ball 1. Kind of a 3-headed monster at shortstop right now for the Astros.
One of the views on Marwin is that because he doesn't have great speed, therefore he doesn't have great range at shortstop. I've seen guys kind of beat that rap, but what Marwin has done is he's been very steady on balls he can handle, and he's been really good with the bat from both sides.
Yes, he has. This is the first time he's batted 5th in the lineup. Well, there have been a lot of guys who have played on championship clubs at shortstop who have not had tremendous range, but they have been very steady.
You handle what you can get to. You may not make the spectacular play on occasions that somebody else might make. But I'll tell you what, that pitcher on the mound, when he gets a ground ball that says out or double play, he wants it and needs it.
Ground ball hit to the right side. Altuve around third. Pat Listash sending him to the plate, and he will score the tying run. It's 1-1 on the RBI single by Gonzalez. 81st run scored by Altuve.
And it never hurts when you come through with the bat and drive in runs.
His stock has certainly risen throughout this season.
Been nice and quick, short to the ball. And he'll come up with that occasional pop as well.
Now a slumping John Singleton reinserted in the starting lineup tonight. He came off the bench to play first base late in the game last night. He had a couple of days off just to get his head cleared a little bit. He's been swinging the bat very hard, hitting 175, 13 homers, 44 runs batted in. It seems to many that he's been pressing, that he's been trying to hit the ball about 9 million miles. So we'll see if he has any kind of a different approach tonight. Taking that one for strike 1.
Had that recent day in Oakland where Barry Bonds, who has worked with Dexter Fowler, gave some special attention, and I'm not sure that that's panned out for John.
One and one. Maybe just, you know, with the luminaries who have been discussing hitting with him, with Bonds and Big Papi David Ortiz in Boston. That's high cotton. So to try to process all that information, maybe that's been difficult. Who knows? As you see, he's had company. Astros first basemen have not had hits in a long time. High bouncer goes foul.
Your point's a really good one, Big. I think one of the big challenges for a guy that's struggling, especially the newcomer to the big leagues, is that you do start to get information from all kinds of directions. and that can be troublesome at times. You like it to come from one area. John Maley is that one main guy.
So Astros first baseman, as you might have noticed, 0 for their last 20. Singleton had the last hit by an Astro first baseman. That was in the 4th inning at Seattle a week ago tonight. It's 2-2. 22 pitch inning so far for Kluber. Kluber has been something else since he came off the disabled list September 7th, 2013. Since then, he's 19-9 with a 2.76 ERA and 36 starts. Only 3 pitchers have won more games than Kluber since that date. Ground ball foul. They are Adam Wainwright, Clayton Kershaw, and Madison Bumgarner. This is game 2 of a 4-game series. Then the Seattle Mariners are here over the weekend. Tomorrow night it's Brett Oberholzer versus Carlos Carrasco. Thursday night Scott Feldman opposes Danny Salazar. Brad Peacock is going to be re-entering the Astros rotation Friday night. Strike 3 call. And in the first, the Astros tied with a run on 2 hits. They strand 2. It's 1-1 after 1.
Franchise leading single season record of 210 hits. I am joined by who else but Craig Biggio on hand to see at least part of this game. We know your daughter has a volleyball game tonight. We wish her good luck. But Craig, to watch what Altuve has done this season, what do you think about what he has done?
Well, I mean, he's had an unbelievable year. I mean, you look at his numbers offensively, defensively. He's gone out there and he's played every day. He's played the game the right way. He's played the game hard. And then, that's what you want. That's what you want from when you're one of your franchise players. I think he's learned a lot about himself, too, from the standpoint of going out there, not feeling 100% every day and going out there and playing through a lot of injuries or things that aches and pains and figuring out, hey, I can do this and still be successful and still help the team win.
Craig, it's been fun to not only watch what he has done this season, but also going back down memory lane and watching what you did in 1998. You said something interesting before the game about how that was a side effect of what your teams were trying to do in those years. Tell me about your feelings and what the thought process was for you.
Well, the fun back then was it wasn't about, you're having a great year and you're getting a lot of hits and doubles and homers and all that other stuff, but it was about winning baseball games. 98 was one of the best teams that we ever had here in the franchise history. So it was about getting to the postseason and hopefully getting to the World Series, and that's what our focus was. We had 40-something thousand fans here tonight. This place was going crazy, or the Astrodome was going crazy, and it was so much fun back then. And so that was the focus more so, not on the individual side, because you knew you're having a good year, but we were winning, and that's the only thing that mattered.
When you think about yourself chasing Enos Cabell at that time and what he meant to the franchise, does that put it in perspective what's going on here?
Oh, no, he's just having one of those years. I mean, it's just a number. And when you look at it, though, but 200 hits is a big deal. When you're looking at a franchise that's had 60 or 70 years of history, and now you have two guys that are part of it, it does go to show you how hard it is and how difficult it is. And he's got a lot to be proud of.
And Craig, Jose Altuve gets a lot of attention here in Houston. He's leading the league in hits. Do you think he deserves to be considered seriously in that MVP conversation?
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, he's on top of the leaderboard in a lot of different categories. He's second in a lot of different categories. The only thing that's going to hurt him is just that, unfortunately, when it comes down to the voting, they say that your win-loss record doesn't come into play, but unfortunately, a lot of times it does, and that's probably the one main thing that'll hurt him the most.
It's been fun to watch you watch and to watch alongside you, Craig. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
One Astros legend, hopefully to another soon, guys. Let's send it back upstairs.
How special is that to have him in attendance when Altuve might be breaking it? It's ball 3, and it's 3 balls, 2 strikes to Lonnie Chisenhall, leading it off here in the second inning in a 1-1 game. Pretty good battle here between Chisenhall and Tropiano. And he swings at it and goes down on strikes. Strikeout number 2 for Tropiano.
And that's the changeup on the 3-2, and you see the confidence that not only Tropiano but Max Stassi has in this pitch. And you throw it on a 3-2, you're going to get some guys swinging through it.
Yan Gomes will be next for Tropiano, whose family was there in attendance in Seattle. That was fun watching Julia talk with them during the game. Yan Gomes at .284 with 18 homers, 62 runs batted in, ranked second in both the power departments there for American League catchers. Great looking pitch at 79 miles per hour. Tropiano feathers it in for strike 1. Congratulations are in order to Gina and Jeff Luno on the birth of their son today, Henry Aldrich Luno. Fly ball left field. Bobby Grossman. Everybody is doing very well in the Luno family. We congratulate Gina and Jeff. Special moment.
I didn't know that was coming, but that is a big congrats.
Yes, it is. No, Jeff was here last night. Understandably, is not here tonight. Now the man who's 5th among active players with 440 home runs, Jason Giambi. He's had a stellar career. Infield shifts around for him. And it's ball 1. Only a 145 average for Giambi. 2 homers, 5 runs batted in. He's homered in 20 straight seasons. Has suffered through an injury-riddled year. That's a strike, and it's 1-1. He had a fractured rib. Giambi now 43 years old. It's 2-1 to Jason, who was drafted in the 2nd round by Oakland in '89. Played for a long time with that club. Several years of more than 40 homers, consistently over 100 runs batted in for many years for Oakland. Then he moved on to the Yankees and to Colorado. He's out in front of that one, and it's 2-2. It looked like more of a hanging changeup that time, but the speed of the pitch sometimes will produce a good result for the pitcher.
We got some fans ready to play some D. Get in there.
Nice. Tropiano has a nice pace.
Yeah, he does. Jason Giambi's had a rather lengthy pace to his career.
He's also been bothered by a right calf strain, so here winding it down in 2014, trying to have a big start. And the Tribe really needs to win, and then hope for help. 3-2, it certainly does not look good for Cleveland's playoff chances. Indians went to the playoffs last year as the wild card contestant in the American League, 1 of 2, and they lost that 1-game wild card playoff. Right now it's Oakland and Kansas City leading. Seattle has dropped 2 games back. Giambi takes the 2-out walk. First walk for Tropiano. Seattle coming in here over the weekend now has some urgency to these remaining games, Ash.
Big games, no question about it. The Indians, as long as you're still told you're not eliminated, you're going to play like it means the world to you. So these are all big games. And again, I refer back to that 9-game road trip the Astros just come off, going 5-4. A lot of big games. And I think these are great opportunities to give the young players that chance to see what it feels like to play in September when it means something.
David Murphy with 7 homers has driven in 56. This one goes to left field for Grossman for the 3rd out. No runs, no hits, and a man stranded. It's 1-1. Presented by Jack in the Box. Right now at Jack in the Box, try Jack's Spicy Chicken Club Combo for just $4.99 plus tax. Final homestand of the year for the Astros, and they have gone 15-11 in their last 26 games at home. They have a 5-game home winning streak, trying to wrap it up with a tremendous final week here. Overall, they've won 10 of their last 14, have 67 wins for the season. That's 16 more wins than they had all of last year. Max Stassi leads it off in the home second inning. He went 1 for 5 in that first start, and he's driven in a couple of runs. Oh, he went 1 for 4. He had an at-bat as a pinch hitter the other day. Takes a strike. So not only did he catch the winning pitcher, Tropiano, but he drove in a couple of runs for him early in that game at Seattle. It's a 1-ball, 1-strike count.
And it wasn't a big year, as has been said about Stassi at AAA this year, but there are still those around the minor league system who believe he's going to be a good hitter on the big league level.
1-2. He came up on September 2nd after Oklahoma City's season finished. And did not have the kind of average he was happy with. 247, had 20 doubles, 9 homers, drove in 45 runs. And he's down on strikes. That's punch out number 3 for Kluber.
And again, it's a big part of what Kluber does. So strikeout victims needn't feel like they've had a horrible time in striking out.
Yeah, join the club. That's number 233 of the year. been a powerful year for Kluber. Alex Presley at 249 has 5 homers, 14 runs batted in. And that cut fastball, which probably looks more like a slider, it's classified as a cutter on one website, has been thrown 28% of the time by Corey Kluber this year. Fouled away, but it's a wicked pitch. A lot of late movement on that pitch. Kluber was born in Birmingham, Alabama. Went to high school in Coppell, Texas, and then on to college at Stetson University. He was 11-5 last year for Cleveland with a 3.85 ERA. Fouled away, and it's 0-2. Kluber was a 4th-round pick of San Diego in 07. Cleveland got him in a trade at the trade deadline in 2010. That was a 3-team deal. Jake Westbrook left Cleveland and went to St. Louis in that trade. And it certainly has panned out very well on this end of the deal for the Tribe. Over shortstop and out into left field. It goes to Bradley. 2 outs for Kluber. Petit will follow. Gregorio's making a pretty good impact here in the late stages of the season. And once again last night he came through, batting 9th, playing shortstop, going 2 for 3 and scoring a 3rd inning run.
Look, you make the plays defensively wherever you happen to be in the infield, but for the Astros, shortstop's kind of an up in the air position when you look toward next year. Make the plays and then swing a lethal bat, and that's what Petito's done. You're going to open some eyes.
Chisenhall's even with the bag at 3rd. Kluber deals, and it's strike 1 to Petit. 292 is Gregorio's average. Congratulations to the Lancaster Jethawks. They won the championship in the California League last night. 0-2, they defeated the Visalia Rawhide 10-2 in the decisive Game 5 of that best-of-5 championship series. Third baseman Rio Ruiz and center fielder Brett Phillips each went 3 for 4. Tyler Bruneman earned the victory with 3 perfect innings of relief. He was the MVP of the series. Strike 3 call, and that's the 2nd inning. 4 strikeouts through 2 for Kluber, and it's tied at 1.
Apiece. It is time now to ask for the CSN fan photo. Use the hashtag CSNH fan photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast. It is brought to you by AT&T. Nick Tropiano takes the hill for the Astros tonight. He is working with his old battery mate from AAA, Max Stassi. Tropiano earned his first Major League win and his first Major League appearance for the team, giving up just 2 earned runs. And I asked Stassi about what it's like to work with Tropiano, and he said he's great. He said he has a 4-pitch ability when it comes to striking out batters. He loves to use that changeup, and he said it's nice to be able to work with a guy who he worked with in AAA. Tom Wallace echoed that as well. He said it's one of those situations where you get to accurately evaluate a pitcher and a catcher because they are used to working with each other. So he's able to see how they call the games together. It's really like how they were working together in Oklahoma City. So nice to see part 2 of that duo here tonight, guys.
Thanks, Layla. Michael Bourne, the batter. The count is 1-1 as Stassi prepares to call this next pitch for Tropiano, who was one of the bright spots, Tony DeFrancesco said, for Oklahoma City this year. It's lifted out to right center field. Long run here for Presley, and Presley makes the grab. He was positioned pretty well, but still had to go to that exact spot for the catch on out number 1.
Presley, of course, missed time with injury, and that kind of cost him in the long run, but as an outfielder, he can go get it. A guy that's viewed as playing center field very well, and the corner outfield positions on top of that. But you watch him go get it. He runs well.
And you can see the way Dexter Fowler was looking at Presley. That had to be Presley's catcher. That was going to be down for a hit. Jose Ramirez struck out earlier. There's strike 1. Something to be said, though, for that battery-made pairing of Stassi and Tropiano. They've worked together any number of times this year. 0-2. The plan was for Tropiano to get in at least 1 game in relief before he made that first big league start. That didn't work out. So you can just imagine that the nerves might have been building for him, but he handled it very well in Seattle. Still no balls, 2 strikes.
Well, he probably had a much easier time psychologically than his family did, sitting there trying to watch every pitch. That's tough.
Well, even athletes say that. It's a lot tougher to watch than to participate, right?
Absolutely, and especially when you have a son out there trying to get a living going and just kind of make the whole thing happen. All the hours that a family's put in taking that young man to Little League and on and on.
Fly ball to left field, Robbie Grossman. 2 outs. Well, Tropiano seems very well composed so far in the big leagues.
Yeah, he's not one of those guys that you look at and go rookie. Not at all. He kind of has the veteran look already and a little bit grizzled and like he's been through this before.
This Astros rotation trying to finish the season on a high note has gone 8-2 with a 2.12 ERA the last 14 starts. Dallas Keuchel's had 6 straight quality starts. Scott Feldman has had 5 straight quality starts. Colin McHugh has won 6 decisions in a row. They strike 1 to Brantley. Brantley singled to left center in the first on a hit and run play. So for the season now, the Astros starters have a 3.89 ERA. It's been coming down. Both these clubs have been fueled by good starting pitching when they've played well this year. And you can say that about many teams. Dallas Keuchel has really put together an outstanding year, and now 200 innings is a goal for him. Red Oberholzer, Scott Feldman watching Tropiano work tonight. 1-2.
You talk about the pitching for the Indians. They've shut out their opposition 13 times this year.
That is impressive. They have some power arms on their staff. In the dirt, and Brantley looks at ball 2. Well, Carlos Carrasco goes tomorrow night for Cleveland. He will bring an ERA of 2.86 to the mound. Danny Salazar pitches Thursday night, and he has very good stuff. He pitched their wild card playoff game last year. Astros skipper Brad Mills nearest the camera there. He's the bench coach for Terry Francona.
Talking with some of the folks with the Indians, they're dealing with the same plight that so many organizations are facing right now. Lack of offense. Just tough to go out and score runs.
Where have all the 300 hitters gone, Ash?
That's a great question you posed.
In 2000, 26 players hit for both power and average to reach the Triple Crown milestones of 30 homers, 100 runs batted in, and a 300 batting average. Only 3 made it last year. Line shot to left field. Grossman with the play for out number 3, sending this game to the bottom of the 3rd. Jose Altuve will bat second. It's 1-1.
A little Jose Altuve. Why not? On this night that could be so special for him, he'll hang him out down the left field side. He'll shoot him through the right. He'll gap him to right center field. There is not a spot on the field that Jose Altuve hasn't taken advantage of this year, including the long ball. That was his grand slam at Boston's Fenway Park. Altuve has snuck in the long ball. He's picked up a load of infield hits. The speed has been outstanding, but he can shoot the ball all over. And there are some reasons for that with Altuve. He can handle any part of the strike zone, or out of the strike zone for that matter. 14 hits on pitches up and away out of the strike zone, 9 down and away. He does the same down and in, and then up and in. A lot of people have thought through recent years that you can pitch Altuve in. He's picked up 48 hits up and in the strike zone, 21 more out of the strike zone. There really is not a way to formulate a game plan, I don't think, against Altuve.
Robbie Grossman swings, and there's strike 1. Bottom of the 3rd underway in a 1-1 game. Grossman walked in the first inning against Kluber. Altuve on deck. Fowler due up 3rd for the Astros. Kluber goes with a changeup, and it's good for strike 2. The Astros are hitting just .231 against right-handed pitching this year. That's the lowest mark in the American League. Strike 3 call. It's punch out number 5.
I don't know what percentage of the strikeouts for Grossman this year, and last year for that matter, have come via the called 3rd strike, but it sure seems like an abundant figure would apply.
93 strikeouts total, 320 at bats. They want him to break this record tonight. One more hit ties the mark set by Craig Biggio in 1998. Altuve bounced into a force play in the first inning. Kluber has held right-handed batters to a .215 average. And it's ball 1. Going by the odds, this would have been a good game for Jose Altuve to sit out. Fly ball to right field. Murphy waiting. 2 down. Because of Kluber's effectiveness against right-handed hitters and just how good he is, it's a tough assignment to hit Corey Kluber, but Altuve is not one to duck that opportunity.
Yeah, and I think that's the point, and a very good one. I think Jose wouldn't feel right about it. What he wants to do is go play every night. I'm not sure he's ready for the end of the game after 9 innings or whatever may be deemed the end of the game.
Fowler struck out in the first. Well, a batting title is a big deal.
It is. And I think he really feels it, Brownie.
Who wouldn't? Maybe the Tin Man, but anybody with a heart would have to be feeling a little bit of this.
Yeah.
0-2. It's never been done in Houston history. This is the 53rd year of the Astros in Colt 45s. Altuve is in a great position to bring that title home. Strike 3 call. That's 6 punch outs for Kluber. He is rolling. He's retired 7 straight, and it's 1-1.
It is tied 1-1 between the Astros and the Indians in the top of the 4th. Let's talk about In-Game Live over at CSNHouston.com, because In-Game Live is your home for all the stats that go beyond the box score. That's In-Game Live over at CSNHouston.com. You can also vote for the player of the game, because your choice for player of the game gets shown on TV afterwards on Astros Postgame Live. Okay, for our Twitter question, there have been so many intriguing storylines surrounding the Astros this season, whether it's Altuve trying to break Craig Biggio's hit record, maybe Chris Carter, or maybe just the team's improvement in general. So our question is to you, what is the most intriguing storyline for this second half of the season? Choose one and tweet me at HoChenCSN and explain yourself, because I read the best tweets on TV. Guys?
Yes, you do. That's what you do, Howard. Thank you. Carlos Santana, the batter. He takes ball 1. Leading off the 4th inning of a 1-1 game. He got run number 1 home on a ground ball to Jose Altuve. Made a sparkling play to get him, but Bourne scored from third on that play. Tropiano changing speeds very effectively tonight. Brings the count to 1-1, and he is up against it the way Kluber is throwing. Both pitchers giving up first inning runs on 2 hits. But really settling down since then. It's 1-2 to Santana. Cleveland is 7th in runs scored in the American League. Santana, a big part of what they do. He's 28 years old, from the Dominican. It's 2 balls, 2 strikes. Astros have won 5 in a row here at home. That ties their longest home winning streak of the season. They're only 3 games under 500 at Minute Maid, 36-39 for the season. Still 2-2. Playing so well here to wrap it up. If this would be a great homestand and they could get close to 500, that would be a lot of progress. They already have the most wins by an Astros team at Minute Maid Park since 2010 when they were 42-39 at home. Change-up misses, and it's 3-2 to Santana. Since the All-Star break, the Astros have played 500 baseball, 27-27.
So that's one of the big things, Brownie. The team actually got off to a slow start again. It wasn't looking good early on in the season, but they've turned it around. And in good part, they've done it without George Springer, who probably is the most talented guy. And I think I would say I would eliminate the probably without any question. But, yeah, it's quite remarkable what this club's doing.
The Astros, by the way, announced today that George Springer will not play again this year. Fly ball, and the shortstop, the third baseman, rather Petit, who was playing near shortstop, takes care of out number 1. George, who was a part of that consultation yesterday. The thought was that if they tried to bring him back, he would be essentially rehabbing in the major leagues. So you start out maybe with a pinch hit at bat. Then you give him a day off to see how the quad is going. And then maybe he starts a game and gets a couple of at-bats. So how many at-bats would we be talking about? Maybe 10 between now and the rest of the season. Risking injury. If he re-injured the quad, now he'd be rehabbing for maybe the first 2 months of the offseason. That could really set him back. And when he was told all that information, he was on board with not playing again this season.
I really like that scene of seeing Springer and Marisnick together. I'd like to see them spend a lot of time together, and I have a feeling that they could spend a lot of years together playing in the outfield.
1 ball, 1 strike. They can both go get him, can't they?
They can do that. Defense would be a great strength out there with those two. Who winds up being the center fielder? Who's the right fielder? How's it all line up? Yet to be seen.
You wouldn't be losing either way, would you?
Nope.
Kipnis hits it in the air on the left side. Petit goes back for this one as well. That's 2 outs for Tropiano.
Astros fans Appreciation Day is this Sunday when the Astros face the Mariners in the season's final home game. 10,000 fans will receive a 2014 team poster that's courtesy of the Houston Chronicle. Also, every half inning will be giving away prizes to lucky fans throughout the ballpark. Come early and get your 2014 team poster.
Lonnie Chisenhall bats. He struck out earlier. Lines 1 foul. Strike 1 to Chisenhall. Bun B threw out the first pitch tonight. The Houston rapper and media star helped to design a brand new Astros cap.
You guys ceased your conversation long enough to let him do that, huh?
We did.
Wow.
And he did a fine job. Dallas Keuchel caught the first pitch from Bun B, and that cap is now for sale at the team stores here at Minute Maid Park and at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
You are remarkably tuned in.
You didn't get one yet?
No, not yet.
I didn't either.
I'm talking about with your buddy friends.
Oh.
Your big time, big name friends.
Our rapper buddies?
Yep.
Here's the rapper himself, Bun B.
What do you call him when you guys call each other?
Sir. How are you, sir?
You know what? I don't think he was loose yet for that throw.
Well, you like the cap?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Layla's going to be having a chat with Bun B.
Now, can you get me that cap in green? I've already asked you for that.
We can take care of you. It may take a while to dye it, though. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Ground ball, flirts with the line, but it's foul. Diving with Singleton. Came up with a good play, but You know, when a first baseman goes into a dive like that, he may not know if it's fair or foul, Ash.
Well, you also don't know what the first base umpire might rule it. And if you're covering the line to this extent, you're not going to let anything get by, that's for sure.
It's an excellent point about the mentality of playing that corner infield spot. Those players are taught to at least knock it down at all costs. Keep it to a single.
John's getting better over there.
This one goes through into right field. Chisenhall finds a hole for one. He gets a 2-out single.
You know, John Singleton, as we were talking about him, has been guilty at times, in my assessment, of maybe ranging to his right on balls that were, I think, destined to be played by Altuve and then leaving the pitcher needed at the bag. Right here, I don't know. You're darned if you do and darned if you don't on some of these ground balls.
Looked like Singleton took a couple steps, then he gave up on it. And it was hit sharply into right field for hit number 3 of the night.
Yeah, that's a big learning point for a first baseman. How far do I go to my right toward the second baseman?
Yes, it is. Yan Gomes takes strike 1. Well, we've seen Singleton do it. He'll cut over in front of the second baseman. It's a much easier play for the second baseman to make.
You know what, though, when there's a man on first base and you've got to force at second base, I love that play.
Yes.
Go get it as far as you can and get that lead out.
Yes, sir. 0-2, but if you're just a cigar store Indian there at first base, you never move more than 2 feet in either direction. A lot of balls are going to get through.
And some guys, some of those cigar store Indians, have been known as great defensive players because they didn't engage in a lot of plays where maybe they might have gotten errors and such.
Exactly.
But I think of Keith Hernandez, Wes Parker going way back, some guys that left-hand first baseman that could really range and go after plays and aggressive with the throws.
1-2. And then you could go the other way and talk about Dick Stewart, Dr. Strangeglove, and a lot of the stationary first sackers who have played that position down through the years, and they've been about as mobile as a taco wagon on a Grand Prix racecourse.
Really?
Liner into left center field. Now Chisenhall goes to third base. It's dropped, and now Fowler falls, and the go-ahead run will score to make it 2-1. Chisenhall was going first to third, and then the ball was not taken care of. Robbie Grossman will draw the error for failing to make the clean pickup. So it's a single for Gomes. He takes second on the error, and Chisenhall scores the go-ahead run on the error.
Alert base running by the Indians. Again, Yan Gomes, who has done such a nice job, but Robbie just simply doesn't come up with it. Now the question is, how does Nick Tropiano deal with it emotionally? You just get the sense that he's been through this before. He knows how to handle it. Look, every outfielder that's ever played the game is going to have this play happen on him.
Third error of the year for Grossman. Now Jason Giambi looks at ball 1. Giambi drew a walk in the second inning. David Murphy's on deck. One and one. Altuve's out in right field. This shift putting 3 players between first and second base. Giambi started to go, and that is in fact a strike to make it 1-2.
Giambi is really intriguing to me. How many times have you seen a guy beyond the age of 35, for that matter, but now you're talking with Giambi, 43, who's hitting a buck something, and in Giambi's case, a buck 45, staying with the club this long.
Exactly. Struck him out on the foul tip. That ends the top of the 4th with the run unearned. It's 1 run, 2 hits, 1 error, and 1 man left. 2-1 Indians.
Home game is followed by spectacular fireworks presented by Marathon Oil Corporation. The last Friday night fireworks of 2014 is this Friday night after the Astros play the Seattle Mariners. Get tickets at 1-877-9-ASTROS. Visit Astros.com.
We had a lot of rain in this area during batting practice today. So nice to have that roof, but nice to be able to roll it back for those fireworks as well.
Accurate that you said this area, because there are some areas of town that don't seem to get a lot of rain.
Such as Cypress?
Yes, that would be one of those areas. I know you and I live out that way, and either you see so much rain coming down here and not much up there.
Nope. There's an invisible curtain, and the rain cannot pass into Cypress, Texas.
Thou shalt not pass.
Chris Carter leads it off. He singled earlier. One of two hits allowed by Corey Kluber, who now has a 2-1 lead and deals strike one. He's retired 7 in a row since the Marwin Gonzalez RBI single.
I like the way these two right-handers go about their business here this evening. It's nice to be able to say that about Nick Tropiano.
Yes.
To see him work like a veteran like Kluber on the hill.
September baseball can prove to be pretty interesting. A glimpse into the future for some. 1 and 2, an audition for jobs, at least going to spring training for next year. And then in Kluber's situation, a chance for adding to some wins on a 15-win season. Keeping his club in the hunt, perhaps. Fly ball to center field. Bourne waiting. 1 out.
You know, to what you're saying, I've heard a lot of people through the years say don't evaluate players in spring training. And I can get that. Or in September. I don't get that. Because to me, that's a great time. And you look at what's happened with the Astros, playing these teams that are trying to get into postseason ball. This is an intense time of the year.
Well, certainly evaluating Astros players this September would fit what you're saying, because they're playing contenders in almost every game this month.
Now, I get it. There are some games that a team's going to face another club that's going nowhere, and you start seeing a matchup of a lot of minor leaguers.
Bunted by Marwin Gonzalez, and he has a bunt single. Beautiful drag bunt. He just took it along with him up the first base line. A la Mickey Mantle or so many of the good bunters with speed down through the years. And Marwin is not blessed with that kind of speed, but here's a well-placed bunt.
This is all about placement, and I think ultimately a mistake at first base. Kluber was not going to get to this ball. Or, I should have said it the other way. Only if Kluber could get through the ball were they going to get a play.
Yeah. That's why it was so well placed. Get it past the mound and ideally out toward the second baseman, but in that case it was far enough off the line that Marwin has himself a 2 for 2 tonight, and he's aboard for Singleton. And on a night like this, the way Kluber is throwing, that bunt single could lead to something. Singleton was caught looking earlier. He beats that one into the ground, and it's strike one. We talk about things that happen in the month of September. For Singleton, it's a chance to build some confidence going into next season. He went 3 for 21 on the road trip. Max Stassi's on deck. One ball, one strike. Kluber has thrown first pitch strikes to 11 of 15 batters. So 49 pitches for the night for Kluber. The Orioles lead the Blue Jays 4-2. They're in the bottom of the 7th at Baltimore. In tight, and it's 2-1. Two former Astros have homered tonight for Baltimore. Steve Pearce, number 18, Jimmy Paredes, number 2. And That was quite a firestorm last night, touched off by Jose Reyes, sliding headfirst into home plate, and then he had a little brush. His hand came up against the catcher's foot. It didn't seem to be the catcher's fault, but Reyes seemed to blame it on him.
So we had a hand-to-foot collision, huh?
Yeah, wasn't much of a collision, but Reyes got up and he was mouthing, and then shortly after that, the Toronto pitcher Marcus Stroman buzzed the tower of that Baltimore catcher Caleb Joseph, and then it all broke loose. And I don't know if they're finished with that fight, but with Baltimore trying to clinch, the Birds will probably keep it buttoned down for the rest of this year. Strike 3 and 2, but yeah, that Baltimore club highly motivated to beat the Blue Jays tonight. Pirates lead the Red Sox 3-0 in Pittsburgh. They're in the 7th.
There's that low strike we've talked about lately, and again, when you look at it from the side, this one is low. You go up to the front of the plate, that front leg of the hitter, and look at the knee, and that one is a bit below the knees, but most of the time those are strikes.
All the way by Singleton. And we looked at that Singleton batting average. It was 175 at game time. Batting average has steadily gone down in the major leagues. Bill Gilbert wrote a nice paper on that recently. The batting average in the majors in 2000 was 271. This year, major league batting average down to 251. So it's a 20-point drop in 14 years. Singleton takes it for ball 4.
Boy, that was a pitch that if I'm Corey Kluber, I want very much and feel like I deserve.
2 men on now, and here's a look at how things have gotten so tough for the hitters since 2000. Ash.
My goodness, go beyond even that batting average 20-point dip. On base, 345 all the way down to 314 this year around the major leagues. Slugging, 437 down to 388. A dearth of offense. I mean, there's just no other way to put it.
So this game fits right into the pattern of so many in Major League Baseball here in 2014.
Indians lead with an unearned run.
Max Stassi, the batter, he struck out in the 2nd inning. It's certainly been a strikeout fest for the pitchers around Major League Baseball again this year.
It's such a different approach at the plate. Now, there have always been on-base type guys, but you've got ball clubs that are approaching that notion that I'm going to go to the plate, see as many pitches as I can, and if that means getting 2 strikes on me before I swing the bat, so be it. And for me, what it's led to is, yes, there are some walks, but so many strikeouts. And hitters that don't seem to have that mentality of I'm going to drive in the runs for my club. And I've talked to so many players, former players in most cases, coaches currently, who played with those guys that you cherished having on your ball club, that were the takeover, I'm going to drive in the runs kind of guy. And to me, that's what leads to the runs on the board.
Stassi rips one into left field. Marwin Gonzalez gets a stop from Pat Listash, and the bases are loaded on the Stassi single with 1 out. So the bunt got it started, then a walk to Singleton. Now Stassi delivers, and Presley will be up next.
It's a good swing, and that's the Max Stassi that we were kind of alluding to in his first at bat. There are some that believe he's going to be a really good major league hitter, that his defensive side of the game is strong. And don't count him out just because the numbers weren't great at AAA this year.
Here's the big opportunity now. Presley batting. All the bases occupied. Presley hit a fly ball to left field in the 2nd inning. Pitch heat is on deck. Presley 1 for 4 lifetime against Corey Kluber. And this is another September story. Alex Presley, who's been out for weeks with an injury, has worked his way back into the mix in the Astros outfield. He looks at ball 1. Certainly a lot to be decided for every major league club between now and spring training next year. Listash talking with Marwin Gonzalez, and it's Singleton at second and Stassi at first. But some of those answers might be formulated based on what happens here the next few days as they get a few more looks at some of these players who have been out with injuries. It's 1-1. You know that Lancaster team that won the California League Championship, that was the second championship for Lancaster in the last 3 years. Lancaster starting this season with Carlos Correa, with Mark Appel, with Teoscar Hernandez, and with Josh Hader. And all of those players moved on, and they still won it all.
Yeah, I think that when you're talking about A-ball, you get a pretty good look at the restocking process. AAA can kind of load up sometimes, but here's one of your big stars, right-hand pitcher.
Tyler Brunneman winning the Series MVP award. Special time for those guys, and they'll be getting their rings presumably next spring training.
That also speaks to the game today a bit, doesn't it? A relief pitcher winning the MVP of a playoff series.
Yes, it does. That's strikeout number 7 for Kluber, and what a time for it. Round number 2 with the bases loaded.
This guy's got some pitches to turn to pick up strikeouts. He's also got a catcher back there that's doing a very nice job on the pitch in the dirt.
Now Gregorio Petit tries to provide a huge 2-out hit. He struck out looking in the second. Petit was talking before the game around the batting cage with Craig Biggio about hitting the first pitch. There's strike 1. It's not the one he was looking for that time. A slider away. He was looking for the one right over the middle of the plate.
So what have the Astros hitters done on first pitch this year? A .379 batting average.
Interesting.
32 of their club home runs have been hit on the first pitch. By far and away the most hit on any given count, or any given pitch, I should say.
And that's exactly what they discussed. Sometimes that first pitch is the best one a hitter sees. That one fooled him, and it's 1-2 to Petit now. He'll try to salvage this at bat with a 2-strike approach.
It's just a filthy slider. Kluber has good stuff, but he has become a master of the use of his different pitches, deploying what he has to get a hitter.
You had to figure he'd see that one again, but this time Petit took it for ball 2.
If he offers once, will he do it again?
His Cleveland pitching staff has had an ERA of 3.12 since the All-Star break. The Astros hoping to upset things here with a Petit single with the bases loaded, or a hit of some kind. He bounces one off the plate. Might have hit him up around the left collarbone area.
You can see what Kluber's tactic was right there. A couple of sliders that he starts down and away, and then he starts the fastball in that same location and runs it back to the plate. So he gives you the same look 3 consecutive pitches, but has the ball reacting differently on you.
Nationals are shutting out the Braves 2-0. They're in the top of the 9th in Atlanta. Ian Desmond hit his 23rd home run. That National club is freezing in the NL East right now, getting close to clinching time. with an 11.5 game lead. 86 wins, tying the Dodgers for the top figure in the National League. Good cut there by Petit, keeps him alive at 2-2 in the count. I predict that slider is coming next, Ash.
So you're going to step into the box. You have quickly run that through your head, and that's exactly what goes on for hitters. But and it's the same story for the pitcher-catcher combination. You do that, but you do it a bit tentatively at times, where you think, okay, but I've seen him do this on so-and-so hitter in our lineup, and so I've got to be aware of that. And it kind of gets you in between a lot of times.
Struck him out. In the fourth inning, it's no runs, 2 hits, 3 men stranded. Big pitch for Kluber. He struck out Presley and Petit with the bases loaded to maintain his 2-1 lead.
For the progressive fan of the game, is there a better fan than the man who threw out the first pitch tonight? He designed a Houston Astros hat. Bun B, you are not just a rapper extraordinaire, you are a professor, you are a designer, and you're a pretty good pitcher. What was that like?
Oh, I mean, I think I did better than some people. Obviously, I didn't go out there like 50 Cent, but I was really lucky because Tony Sipp took me in the back and to the batting cage and let me throw out a couple with him, gave me some great tips. Also, Mayor Parker sent me some great tips as well, so I had some really important people pushing for me today.
I'm not surprised. You always do your homework, whether or not you're giving it to your students at Rice as well, but you designed a great hat. It's already almost sold out. Tell me about your hat, special Houston Astros design.
I was really, honored by the organization to actually come and design 3 different baseball caps for the Astros. But what I'm wearing today is the one that you can actually buy here at the store and also at academies around Houston. Just a way for me to give back to an organization that's given so much to me in the city of Houston. I was able to put my name on it, put a couple of little touches that distinctly speak to Bun B. But all in all, a hat that even if you don't know who Bun B is and you're an Astros fan, you definitely want to get this hat.
But we always know you talk about keeping it trill and supporting the community. So to have the Astros bring you in, what does that mean to you?
It's huge. I mean, to be a fan of this organization, and actually, unfortunately, I'm old enough to remember the Astros all the way back to playing in the Astrodome with Nolan Ryan on the mound, and I was here in 2005 when we won our pennant and had our World Series run. But, this organization has so much history and has such an incredibly well-defined legacy in Houston, and I'm just happy to be a part of bringing that back to the forefront. Jim Crane, owner of this team, has done a great job in, bringing orbit back and bringing the rainbow colors back, and I'm just happy to be a part of it.
We appreciate it, and as always, he keeps it trill better than anyone else. Bun B, the special hat, and a very nice first pitch. Thanks for the time. Guys, back to you.
Thank you.
That's a trill, Layla. Thank you for that. And it's 3-1 to David Murphy. Murphy takes it. It's a full count for Nick Tropiano to the number 9 hitter in this 2-1 game.
Did I catch that right, that Bun B was saying it's unfortunate that he can remember back to
yes.
Nolan and some of us actually playing?
He did say that. Fly ball to Fowler in center field. 1 out as Murphy's retired. Layla, by the way, Ash wants his in green.
I will pass that along. We'll look it up for it.
We call it Trill Green.
Trill Green, yes. Michael Bourne batting. He opened the game with a single to left and scored the first inning run. Then he hit a fly ball in third. In that Nationals-Braves game, 2-0 Nationals, top of the ninth inning. Tanner Roark went the first 7. He's had a nice year.
You know what? I like Nick Tropiano. It's been a nice emergence in a couple of starts into the big leagues.
You bet it has. 1-2.
Does that look like a rookie?
No, not at all. Count is 0-2 now to Michael Bourne, not 1-2 as I said. No, he looks like a guy who's been around for a while. He looks completely unfazed by this assignment. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes. Part of the depth in the Astros farm system. Tropiano here at the end of the season getting a chance to start for the second time. Lefty Darren Downs is working in the Astros bullpen. That's a strikeout of Michael Bourne. 4 strikeouts for Tropiano.
Get your running shoes out and join us for the Badges and Bases 10K 5K run. That's this Saturday at Minute Maid Park, presented by the Astros and the Houston Police Foundations. There's also a kids fun run for ages 12 and under. Participants will receive a commemorative t-shirt. Register at astros.com/race.
Jose Ramirez takes a look at it, and Ramirez 0 for 2 tonight. Takes ball 1 with Bradley on deck. Tropiano does work quickly, 2-0. The Indians have had 24 games in which their opponent started a rookie pitcher.
That's an intriguing number, but I'm not sure what it means. How does it stack up and compare with other clubs?
I don't have the answer to that, and I knew you were going to ask that question.
Well, you know, we've got to get to the bottom of things.
I do have another stat for you, though.
Okay.
Change up dips low, and it's a 3-1 count. Rookie starting pitchers, when facing the Indians, have an 8-8 record and a 3.57 ERA in 24 starts. Pretty good.
Yeah, that would seem to be good. They're basically a 500 club at this point, a few games over.
That's the second walk of the night for Tropiano. Ramirez has 8 steals in 9 tries.
You know what every club says is, we can't hit the guys we've never heard of before. They come to the big leagues. Every team I've ever spoken to has that same story. Put a rookie pitcher on the mound, we won't do anything. I don't know that they're really accurate, but there are always those games where the rookie's out there on the hill, he pitches well, and those are the ones remembered.
That's one of those stock baseball sayings.
Yep.
People throw out there without any support whatsoever.
Yeah, and there's no need to support it because nobody's going to check it, and yeah, kind of the standard. Brent Strom's out there asking that question right now. Are you aware that these Indians cannot handle it when a rookie pitcher goes to the mound?
Or he might be saying, how do you feel after 94 pitches?
Well, that could be the question. Okay, that's the way to try to bring some reality into the story.
Well, Brantley is batting, and he's 1 for 2 in this game. The lefty Downs warming up. So Tropiano is trying to concentrate on getting out of this 5th inning, trailing by 1.
Yeah, it hasn't been immaculate. The fact that he's nearing 100 pitches in the 5th inning says that there have been struggles, but boy, he's made it look easy.
Yes. That's ball 1. What do you think of Tropiano's delivery? Do you think it's something that's going to hold up pretty well?
I do. I tend not to be that guy that believes there's a perfect delivery and this guy has it and these guys don't, because I've seen too many exceptions to the rule through the years. And one of the biggest, and I've mentioned it before, but I'll do it again. I played with Dennis Eckersley when he first came to the big leagues, and everybody pointed to his low elbow delivery and said he's not going to last. That arm's going to blow out so quickly. And of course, he wound up pitching a few more games.
Play at second. Stassi's throw is on into center field. And now Ramirez gets to third base as Fowler returns the ball to the infield. That throw sailed, and Marwin Gonzalez was crossing over in front of second base, but Stassi didn't give him a chance to catch it and make that play.
You know, that play was setting up for a while. And as we watch it here, watch Fowler. He's just flat-footed until now. And I would like to see more anticipation on the play to help out a Max Stassi who didn't have things go his way.
True. It's ruled a pass ball by Stassi and then an error on Stassi.
Overall, that's not a good pitch for a catcher.
No, it's not. 3-0 the count. Now 3-1. Santana on deck.
And I hate to pick on Dexter in center field, but watching just that flat-footed nature as the play was setting up, I'd like to see more.
Well, your point is well taken. The center fielder's looking right in at the play, and he can anticipate there's going to be a throw to second base once that ball gets away. Full count on Bradley now. And that will go foul up the right field line. He started running late. He hit it well, but it was in on him just a little bit too much for him to keep it fair. Now, sometimes you'll see a left-handed hitter keep a pitch like this fair.
He doesn't hook this ball. Very little. You see, yes, it starts fair and then does hook foul. But I was with you. I thought when this ball started down the line, this is going to be foul easily.
Yeah. Then we saw the replay. Whoa, that was close. That's fairly unusual. Generally, a ball would hook more than that on a hit like that up the right field line. In the air to left field this time. Bobby Grossman waiting. And in the fifth inning, it's no runs, no hits. One error, one left. 2-1 Tribe.
Airlines on Saturday, September 20th, outside Minute Maid Park for live music, food, and fun for all ages. The Street Fest is open to all fans and will be on Crawford Street beginning at 3 o'clock before the Astros and the Mariners play at 6:10. Sounds like a good time, guys. I expect you there in your Bun B hats.
We will definitely be there if we can get them in green and orange. We will show up. Thanks, Layla. Fiestas Patrias coming up. Final Saturday of the home season. And Then Sunday, the final home game of the season, and then it's travel day for that road trip. 3 in Texas, 3 in New York. Robbie Grossman leads it off in the home 5th inning. He has walked and he struck out on his 25th birthday. Corey Kluber brings that cutter in, and it's strike 1 call. The Reds have been no hit through 6 innings by the Cubs right-hander Jake Arrieta. 6-0 Cubs lead, bottom of the 6th. They just dropped a 5 spot on the Reds. No balls, 2 strikes. September produces a fair percentage of the no-hitters during any baseball season. Grossman was born in '89. Chad Harville, born on this date, former Astro.
Flo Rida, huh?
Flo Rida. Robin Yount, Norrell Hershiser. Who's Manuel Pellegrini?
Who's Flo Rida?
Don't know. A rapper.
So you generally would know that one.
No, never. Struck him out looking, and Grossman is victimized by a called 3rd strike for the 2nd time tonight. Punch out number 9 for Kluber.
Jose Altuve is reaping the benefits of a home field advantage presented by Coldwell Banker. Altuve first in the major leagues in hitting, second in what is that? His second league lead in home batting average. So he's second in the home batting average around the major leagues, trailing Adrian Beltre in that regard. Well, Beltre hitting in Arlington, that's a big advantage. But let's go. This is the time right here.
In the air and into the seats. Attack that first pitch. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Currently hitting .341. We'll check on Detroit's Victor Martinez. Detroit is trailing 2-0 at Minnesota. They're in the top of the 7th inning. Victor Martinez is 1 for 2. He's hitting .332. Ground ball by the third baseman Chisenhall. Altuve hustling to second with a characteristic double, a Craig Biggio type double, and that ties him with Biggio. 210 hits. Move over, number 7. You have company. 210 hits. No Astro has ever had more hits in a single season.
Kind of nice when you get all the players to applaud, and the likes of Craig Biggio and Nolan Ryan around doing it. Hey, you know, I don't know how large that weight is off the shoulders of Altuve. I think he clearly has his sights set on the batting title, but every hit loosens it up every night.
This is a nice moment here as the home plate umpire has chosen to give Altuve his moment. Angel Hernandez is cleaning off home plate. Now he's doing it for a 2nd time. Unnecessary but appreciated because the fans want to give Altuve his tribute.
It's going to be a very clean home plate, but it's also a nice stopping point for Jose Altuve, and that's really all it is, just a stepping stone along the way. He's got a chance again on pace at the start of tonight for 225 hits, and wouldn't that be a nice one to take home with you at the end of the season?
You tip the batting helmet to Biggio, sitting right behind home plate. How often does that happen? Dexter Fowler struck out both times tonight. There's strike 1. The double was the 43rd of the year for Altuve. Biggio was asked by the media about his season in '98 with the 50 doubles and 50 steals, a rarity. Altuve would have to get 7 more doubles to do that. Striking at 0-2. But just a rare moment when the man who established this record, who lives in this city, some 16 years later is in attendance when the record is tied.
"16 years have gone by since 1998.
Isn't that amazing? what time the volleyball game starts. 1 and 2. Isn't Craig missing Quinn's volleyball game for this?
Well, it is, as you said earlier, really nice that even with stuff going on for his kids, that he's here to make it as good as possible for Altuve.
Fowler grounds to the right side. Kipnis over to Santana. 2 outs.
Watch what he does. Takes a slider down and away and still shoots it down the left field line, which is why you can't make a game plan against Altuve. You just have to play him straight up, try to change everything you do as a pitcher, and take your chances. And the chances taken this year by most pitchers have failed. I got to see Craig Biggio come on the scene as a major leaguer. I knew he was going to be good. I had no idea he was going to turn into Craig Biggio, but I'm kind of wondering the same thing about Altuve. Is he now setting the pace for a guy who's going to do this for a long time?
He's 24 years old. Setting the bar awfully high. Chris Carter singled to left. He had a fly ball to center. Now trying for a big 2-out hit to get Altuve home from third.
Look, I think in being honest, none of us knew this was on the horizon for Biggio or for Altuve this year. I think we all knew he was a good player and was going to put up good numbers and be a big part of what the Astros would do for 2014. But I think it's a stretch to think that any of us thought this was coming.
No doubt. Last year, Jose hit 283. It's 1 and 2.
Said he had 2 rough months, and if he could stay away from that, this was kind of his self-talk. If you can stay away from those 2 bad months, then you can go and get yourself 200 hits and take your shot. And well, he's taking a shot.
He hit 276 in April this year. Since then, he's just been in a totally different place with his hitting. 2 and 2. Picked up a lot of steam in May. He hit 357 that month. Had a 12-game hitting streak. In June, he hit 411.
Biggest month in terms of just numbers of hits, 45 of them in the month of May.
Just off the plate, and that could have ended the inning, but Carter took all 3.
Now look at what he's done. There's your 45 hits in May, 32 back in the first month of the year. Maybe tailed off a bit if you want to call it that, 39, 35, 38, and now 20. Is it 20 or 21 already here
21.
In September? Consistency has been an unbelievable mark.
A strikeout for Kluber keeps him in the lead. It's strikeout number 10. Altuve got the record-tying hit. 210 hits, tying him with Craig Biggio, but it's 2-1 Cleveland. Baseball on Comcast Sportsnet is presented by AT&T Uverse TV. Find out what's possible with AT&T. Call 1-800-PICK-ATT, mobilizing your world. It's a 2-1 ball game. Cleveland leading. Jose Altuve picked up hit number 5 for the Astros. It's his 210th hit of the year. And then a quick handshake from Craig Biggio. Those two now tied for the Astros single season hit record. Down through the history of this club, Nellie Fox, who's in the Hall of Fame, played some second base. Joe Morgan, another Hall of Famer. Craig Biggio is headed to the Hall of Fame, and maybe someday Jose Altuve.
Billy Dorn wasn't too bad, and now this is the guy. This is the guy that everybody from here on out is going to be shooting at, wherever he ends up this year in terms of hits. It's going to be a tough number to get to for anybody in the future. And then if you can tack on to a batting title, all the doubles that goes along, you start getting Biggio-like numbers.
What a year for number 27. Maracay, Venezuela, a man who went to a tryout camp and was turned down. He went back the next day, and the Astros, who then had Al Pedrique in the scouting mix, decided to sign him for $15,000. Darren Downs comes into the game. He's 2-1 with a 4.31 ERA.
You can just see it too. I mean, I haven't been to many tryout type camps, but you see a kid that's not very tall, doesn't have the physical size you're looking for, and you dismiss him right away. I'm actually surprised Jose Altuve got somebody to eventually look at him. But boy, are we glad they did.
Carlos Santana, the switch hitter, batting right this time against Downs.
You know, it's part of what I fear about with pitching a lot of the time. Some of the guys that don't have the big 6'4+ frames and the ideal pitching prospect, the Roy Oswalts of the world, get overlooked. And I think it's a shame, and I think we're missing a lot of guys who have very good arms in that regard.
Downs delivers. It's a 2-ball, 1-strike count. Nick Tropiano in 5 innings allowed the Indians 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 of them earned. He walked 2 and he struck out 4.
Love to see the original scouting report on Billy Wagner. Look, you're not going to like it when you see his size, but you're not going to believe this kid's arm.
He's a first-round pick. 2-2. Downs did not retire a batter Saturday against the Angels. He walked 2 and was charged with 2 runs in that game. Astros trailed it 2-1 in the 7th inning. Scott Feldman had started. Mike Foltynewicz came in, and Downs had a rough outing. And now a walk as Santana's aboard.
That bat got started pretty good there by Santana.
They did appeal down to first to Paul Nauert. Now Brent Strom with Tom Lawless reminding his infielders about a bunt possibility is on that phone to the bullpen. Kipnis is the batter. He's 0 for 2. Lefty on lefty, so the bunt might be a thought for Kipnis. Meanwhile, somebody else will be warming up for Houston soon. That's foul back. Downs has been charged with runs in each of his last 3 outings now. Samuel Deduno. He pitched 1/3 of an inning last night. That's bunted foul. It's 0-2 to Kipnis. Orioles 8, Blue Jays 2 there in the top of the 9th in Baltimore. Ubaldo Jimenez started that game. First start for him in a while. He had been out with an injury. Birds are getting close to clinching.
You knew it was coming from day one.
No. Jeff Blum pick Baltimore?
He did. He did. That was a good pick.
The reason I didn't pick Baltimore is, you know, they do have Ubaldo Jimenez, who's had a good year or two, but they don't really have a dominant type starting pitcher in that mix, do they?
I didn't think they had enough pitching to make it happen. I thought the Yankees did, and therefore I picked them. Didn't know what kind of injuries were on the way, and as often is the case, you get betrayed or win out because of injuries or lack thereof, and it's tough to predict what's going to happen down the road of 162 games.
Bud Norris had a very good start his last time out.
Bud likely will be counted on in the postseason, I would think.
I would think so. Struck him out. 1 out. The Orioles shooting for win number 91 of the year tonight. Chisenhall singled and scored in the 4th inning. He's 1 for 2. Now Brent Strom is coming out.
But I would still probably say my biggest surprise this year, at least in the American League, would be the Tigers, because I thought they would run away with their division. If you had asked me which one division will see a team run away and hide, I would have thought the Tigers in the Central.
Agreed. Nick Tropiano threw 101 pitches tonight. You see Detroit being shut out at Minnesota 2-0 after 7. Cincinnati Reds are still looking for their first hit. There being no hit at Chicago by the Cubs. Jake Arrieta 6-0. That game now in the bottom of the 7th. Billy Hamilton, the only base runner, on a walk. Arrieta's thrown 78 pitches through 7 hitless innings. Walking 1, fanning 9. Downs throws a strike, and it's 1-1. And Billy Hamilton was caught stealing. That's the 23rd time he's been caught stealing this year. Good grief.
When we saw him late last year, I wasn't sure he'd ever get thrown out. He looked as light on his feet as anybody I've watched.
How could he be caught 23 times? 2 balls and a strike. We'll have to check on how many steals he has, but that cannot be a good percentage at all for him. He's hurting the team more than he's helping the team.
That's right.
He's been caught 23 times.
The Reds have been hurt a bit this year.
Fly ball, Fowler out in center field. 2 outs.
Follow all the pennant races with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Get this award-winning app for your smartphone or tablet for the rest of the season for only $9.99. Visit the App Store or MLB.com today.
Hamilton has 56 stolen bases. He's been caught 23 times.
Yeah, pretty easy to just kind of make a quick comparison with Altuve, and you see that Altuve has been much the better base stealer this year.
He's 52 for 60. Yan Gomes is 1 for 2. Strike 1 to Gomes. Pittsburgh trying to wrap it up. The Red Sox are batting in the top of the 9th at PNC Park. The Pirates lead at 4-0. Charlie Morton was their starter. They've used a collection of several relievers after he went 5. He's coming back from an injury. Russell Martin hit his 10th home run. Starling Marte, number 12. Now, Russell Martin is potentially a free agent. Don't know if you get the Bleacher Report, Ash, but the Bleacher Report came out with a list of potential free agents today and how much they might make on free agent contracts over the winter. There's going to be a whole lot of money spent, even though after you name your all free agent team, you name one at each position. That's what they did. But after those guys who are going to make big bucks, most of them, there's not a whole lot of depth on the free agent.
I'm not sure what I think of Russell Martin. He's had his ups and downs in recent years.
There's a shot to left field. That's headed for the wall. And that one reaches the seats. Line drive, 2-run homer by Yan Gomes, number 19. He had just enough height to get it into the Crawford boxes, and Cleveland leads it 4-1.
Not all has gone perfectly for the Indians this year, but Yan Gomes is just a great acquisition that they were able to get their hands on defensively. He is just this good. They have to be delighted what this guy has brought. First position player ever out of Brazil.
Just cleared that yellow line and went into the seats. Jesus Aguilar's coming up to pinch hit now for Jason Giambi. Aguilar gives Francona a right-handed bat. Giambi was 0 for 1 with a walk. Gomes now has 64 runs batted in. Aguilar at 154. Has driven in a couple. He's had 26 major league at bats. He's 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter. So now a 3-run lead, and that does change the complexion of this game with the swing by Gomes.
But you know, you were talking about the free agents and Russell Martin in particular. That's a tough game to play. Is Russell Martin going to give you a year like he's had this year, which has been pretty good, or one that he's had in recent years, which, quite frankly, haven't been very good?
True. 0-2 to Aguilar. He came up in mid-May and made his major league debut. 24 years old, from Jose Altuve's hometown, Maracay, Venezuela. 1-2. He drove in 105 at AA Akron last year. Yeah, and Martin is the only everyday catcher who's available on the free agent market. Giovanni Soto will be out there as well.
And then you look at what the Indians have done with Yan Gomes this year, and you think, well, is that guy out there that we could make a deal? Because that was not a big deal between Toronto and Cleveland. I think Mike Aviles was involved in another name or two, but just kind of one of those deals you see in passing and don't think much of it. But sometimes if you can be astute, you can pick up some of those guys that just might have a future in front.
Well, the Cleveland front office was astute with that move. Struck him out. Aguilar caught looking. And in the 6th inning, it's 2 runs on 1 hit. 4-1 Cleveland.
For you to tweet your photo using hashtag CSN Fan Photo for a chance to show it in a game broadcast. We have a great one tonight. This is from Ron Whitebread at R_Whitebread. Anytime you can get somebody in a picture of Orbit antenna ears, I'd say that's a pretty good call. We appreciate it. And you are orbiting for another year of season tickets in 2015. So nicely done, and we thank you for your picture, guys.
Very nice pick. Orbit back from his injury last night and recovering. He's a gamer. He has to be ready to perform every single night. He's bounced back well from that fall on the railing last night.
Tough guy. You just don't realize how tough these mascots are, do you?
Not really. Marwin Gonzalez takes in their strike one. Marwin 2 for 2 tonight. An RBI single in the first, a bunt single in the fourth. Each club with 5 hits. The Astros have made both the errors in this game. Third baseman Chisenhall is even with the bag off the line. That's been a vicious pitch tonight for Corey Kluber. Cut fastball at 87.
A lot more efficient tonight with utilization of the number of pitches tonight. Kluber versus Tropiano, and yet I loved what I saw from Tropiano once again, his second major league start.
Struck him out, and then after he moves that cutter in, he sails the fastball away. That's a vicious combination.
It changes speeds. He sets up. I was talking earlier about how he started a couple of sliders in one spot and then that running fastball in the same area, and he'll just leave hitters feeling like they're seeing one thing, and I'm sure they go back to the bench and think, man, this guy's just wearing me out.
Yeah, that's like a can opener. Jorge De Leon is warming up for Houston. Here's Singleton batting. Singleton struck out with 2 men aboard in the first inning. He walked in the fourth. Upstairs for ball 1.
Like a can opener. I haven't heard that one.
Well, he slices it in one direction, then opens it up the other way.
Gotcha. That's nice. That's quality analysis of what that is.
When's the last time we used a can opener, by the way?
Every once in a while I get asked to come into the kitchen, and that's usually the reason.
Yeah. Well, you've got to keep that supply of Spam on hand at all times.
I'm not sure I have ever tried that delicacy.
Don't break your string now, then.
No?
1-2. 90 pitches so far for Kluber, shooting for win number 16 of the year. That Cleveland bullpen has been solid much of the year, but lately has had a couple of failures in the late innings. And he still can bring it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He ramped that one up to 94. Pitch number 91 of the night for Kluber. Threw 110 pitches last time out.
Looks like he hasn't even broken a sweat yet.
That's true. Struck him out looking. 12 punch outs for Kluber.
I don't know what's going on with some of the caught lookings right now, but just different looks with the pitches. That looked like a straight line 4-seamer, whereas he's been running a lot of the 2-seamers, and he just gets you guessing one way or another. Just dead pumped in there.
He's had 6 called third strikes of the 12.
And quite frankly, at the stage of things with the Astros and their propensity to strike out, you're not sure, do you credit Kluber, or is it just kind of more of the difficulty the club has had?
Sure. Strike 1 to Stassi. Stassi's 1 for 2. Kluber 1 away from his strikeout high in a major league game of 13, May 4th against the White Sox. One and one. Pirates shut out the Red Sox 4-0. Charlie Morton the winner. Out to left center field. Bradley over to make it a 1-2-3 sixth. Kluber and the Tribe leading the Astros 4-1.
Our last Dollar Dog Thursday of 2014 is this Thursday, the 18th. Join us to see the Astros take on the Cleveland Indians at 7:10 and scarf down some dollar dogs for the last time this season. That is a call to action, people. Want you guys to know, Brownie and Ash, that I talked to Colin McHugh before the game today. He has a bandage on his left wrist after being hit in the arm with that line drive. And I asked him how he's doing in classic baseball humor. He's like, well, they're going to have to cut off my arm. Of course they're not. The good news is he's fine. It's just a bruise. He doesn't expect to miss any time. So, nice update. And Colin McHugh never short on having a sense of humor.
Well, you see, it got him in actually a good place as far as staying in the rotation, so to speak. It can't be feeling that great, but nonetheless, didn't catch any bone that we know of, Ash.
Well, I was just thinking, I imagine that good place felt anything but a good place last night. But, it is a good spot when you talk about some of the possibilities on a line drive like that. That's a dangerous place to be, about 52, 54 feet away from home plate with guys swinging away. And he was trying to get leather to it. Just couldn't make it happen.
Jorge De Leon in 2 games this year in 1 inning has allowed 5 hits and 3 runs. He takes over as pitcher number 3. Darren Downs in 1 inning allowed 1 hit, 2 runs, had 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. And it's De Leon against the number 9 hitter, David Murphy.
He's one of the young guys on the mound for the Astros that better take advantage of every opportunity he gets here in September.
De Leon's a converted infielder. He's 27 years old, from the Dominican Republic. He had 11 games with the Astros last year, going 0-1 with a 5.40 ERA. Delivers ball 1 there to Murphy.
Not an old guy by any stretch, but he's not a baby. 27 years of age. It's kind of time to show what you can do.
Murphy with the swing. Goes to a 1-1 count. Well, Friday night in Anaheim, De Leon gave up those 3 earned runs on 4 hits in 1/3 of an inning against the hot hitting Halos.
It's a good offensive club.
I bet it is.
At least right now, as good as they come in this league.
1-2 to Murphy. Angels clinched a playoff spot last night. They were the first team to do so. They have not yet clinched the AL West.
Just got word that the Orioles, with tonight's victory, have clinched that East.
That's flicked to left field. Bobby Grossman. 1 out. Well, let's check the win totals in the American League. Baltimore with 91. Trailing the Angels. The Angels have won 94. So there's still something to play for there as far as the best record in the American League and home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
I think it's a real battle for a manager to determine as you go down the stretch and you sew it up early. Do you let some of your regulars rest, or do you maintain that hot streak going in? Does momentum mean anything?
Grossman backing in left. Retires Michael Bourne.
Or is it like a faucet that you can turn on and off? And I think the notion there is, don't ever believe that.
Exactly.
But at the same time, momentum's going to end at some point, and you never know how you play with that one.
What do you think would be ideal? Maybe clinch the best record or the division title or whatever it is a team can achieve a day or 2 before the end of the season, then rest the guys for that amount of time, and that way they're not down for too long?
Very well might be. I've seen some instances, and I couldn't put my finger on any right now, where you say, well, maybe wild cards that have won the World Series would be great examples, where you scratch and claw right through that final out of the regular season, and it just kind of carries forward for you, as opposed to that club that locks it up. And yet you can find examples. The Yankees, whatever year that was, 99, when I don't think they lost a postseason game, and just they took it on in, and they thought they were the best, and they played like the best.
Fowler chases this one deep into right center field, and then he reaches out and he makes the grab. Fowler with the long strides gets there. Ramirez's fly ball is gobbled up by the Astros center fielder. It's a 1-2-3 top of the 7th inning. It's 4-1 Cleveland. But for Cleveland, the work of Corey Kluber has put a damper on the evening so far for the Astros. He has held them to just 5 hits, 4 singles and an Altuve double through the first 6 for Kluber, who is 1 away from his career high. He has struck out 12 and got out of bases loaded, 1 out trouble in the 4th inning, striking out Presley and Petit.
Well, you strike out 12 through 6 innings and only have 95 pitches. You have really done yourself proud out there.
Now it'll be Presley, Petit, and Grossman due up, with the possibility of Altuve batting also in this 7th inning. Alex Presley has hit a fly ball to left and then whiff in that bases loaded opportunity in the 4th. The Rays lead the Yankees 6-1. They're in the middle of the 8th at St. Petersburg. Jake Odorizzi starting for Tampa Bay. He did well, 6 innings, 1 run. Michael Pineda got the call for the Yankees. Presley takes it. It's strike 1 to Alex. A low-scoring season series between these two. This is game number 5 between them. They haven't scored many runs against each other. 1 ball, 1 strike. The Astros are 2-2 against the Tribe. In those 4 games, Cleveland scored 8 runs. Houston got 11.
Brown, I don't know if you saw this this tweet out there from J.J. Watt.
No.
He's apparently keeping track of the Astros and in particular Jose Altuve, and he just simply says, Altuve, beast.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
It's been a great friendship. He's been out here for batting practice with the Texans a few times. Congratulations to him for his touchdown catch on Sunday.
Home run hitter and touchdown catcher, huh?
2-2. Yeah, the athletes in this city really bond together well. We've had Rockets players come out. We see some Astros players out at Texans and Rockets games. Fly ball to left. Bradley. 1 out. Petit will be next. He's 0 for 2 tonight. For those of you just joining us, Jose Altuve is 1 for 3 tonight. His hit was a double in the 5th inning. Hit number 210 of his career, tying Craig Biggio for the all-time single-season club record. He may be coming up again here in the 7th. He will get at least 1 more at bat in this game. Grossman on deck as Petit tries to work his way on against a very effective Corey Kluber tonight. He gets strike one.
Yeah, we've been hearing all the Corey Kluber stories, and you see all the highlights all the time, but you get to see it in person, and it's quite special.
One ball, one strike. Cardinals 2, Brewers 1. They're in the bottom of the 8th in St. Louis. Cardinal club has regrouped nicely. Lance Lynn went 7 tonight, giving up 1 run against Willie Peralta. Gerardo Parra hit his 9th long ball from Milwaukee. That's a soft fly ball in for a hit in front of Michael Bourne, and Petit is on. Hit number 6 for the Astros.
Well, I hope this guy comes to spring training next year with that mentality of I want a job, and not just a backup job, but he could be a guy in line to get a shot at that shortstop position.
I think he knows that. We were talking around the batting cage tonight, and I asked him about playing winter ball. He said he did want to play, but not the full season. You saw what happened with Jose Altuve not playing winter ball last winter and what it's meant to his year. So sometimes guys can overplay in the winter.
Yeah, the argument used to, decades ago, go the other way. That play all year long. That's the best way to do it. And there were a lot of great examples that said that was true. You could look at so many of the Latin players that would go, and Jose Cruz was a great example with the Astros. Go play winter ball, come on back, get yourself a couple of weeks off and go get them again, and everything was ready to go. But, you know, you can get that tired body syndrome.
Right-hander Brian Shaw is warming up in the Indians bullpen. 104 pitches for Kluber. Number 105 is strike 2 call to Robbie Grossman.
Robbie's going to have to let that bat come off the shoulder at some point here.
He has taken strike 3 twice in this game. Brandon Phillips of the Reds broke up the no-hit bid by Jake Arrieta of the Cubs. And a strikeout swinging this time. That's number 13 to tie his career high in a game for Kluber. And now it's Altuve.
You know, I just quickly want to stay on Kluber for a second. He comes in with a slider instead of the fastballs that he's been throwing for the 3rd strike previously. Very intelligent on the hill.
Altuve hit a high hopper to 3rd. That turned out to be a forced play in the 1st inning. Hit a fly ball to right in the 3rd. Doubled past the 3rd baseman in the 5th to tie Craig Biggio with his 210th hit. Up the middle, and now Jose Altuve is the record holder for the Houston Astros with 211 hits in a season.
Yeah, I think that says it all.
The first player in the 53-year history of the Houston Major League team to have 211 hits in a season, and he could soon add a batting title to his 2014 resume. He would be the first Houston player to do that as well.
6 consecutive multi-hit games. I think there's a weight along with this whole thing, but he's learning how to deal with that like some of the young players on the team are learning how to deal with simply playing in the big leagues. Wow.
Special memories for these fans. 18,381. 211 of those in a magnificent year for the 24-year-old native of Maracay, Venezuela.
343 the batting average, Brownie, right now for Jose Altuve.
Runners at first and second now, and 2 out for Dexter Fowler. Fowler is 0 for 3. It's the second time tonight Fowler has waited a while to get into the batter's box, so Altuve can be welcomed by the fans for breaking new ground in the Houston franchise history. And there's strike one.
Yeah, this list is starting to look different, isn't it? It's going to stay this way for a while, too, I have a feeling.
And still 11 more games to go.
So now the question simply is, along with the batting race, where does Altuve wind up in terms of total hits? And he's already amongst the guys that are really the great names in terms of hits on a season.
Fowler takes it, it's a strike, and he's behind 0-2. Altuve is one of only 4 players in Major League history to have as many as 209 hits. That was coming into this game. 42 doubles and 52 steals in a single season since 1900. Ty Cobb and Tris Speaker did that. Derek Jeter, the last player to have as many as 209 hits in a year. That was in 2012. He had 216. Fowler strikes out. That's number 14 for Corey Kluber. Big moment for Altuve and the Astros fans. And he stands alone now atop the all-time leaderboard for hits in a single season. With that hit up the middle, his second of the night, his 211th of the season. 4-1 Cleveland.
In Houston, and the Indians lead the Astros 4-1. A special moment here at Minute Maid Park just moments ago as Jose Altuve reached that Astros single-season hit record with 211. Of course, the dugout pretty fired up, but the fans doing a great job of also showing their applause, being several feet away. Certainly fun to watch. That brings us to our Geico quote of the game. It comes from Craig Biggio. You go to the yard every day and you're enjoying what you're doing. And when you have good at-bats, you're getting hits. When you have bad at-bats, you're getting hits. And when you're having one of these years, you enjoy the ride and take it for what it's worth. Bill Brown, Alan Ashby, knowing what that moment was like for Biggio, well, how do you think this one rates?
Oh, it's a big, big-time moment in the history of this club for a player like Altuve to do what he's done, to show the improvement he's shown since last year. It's been magnificent to watch him this year. Michael Brantley fouls it back. There's strike one.
Yeah, and I kind of take it for Altuve. He's enjoying what's going on, but it's kind of pressure-packed, I believe. And I think on his mind is, now I've got to win this batting title. I think this has become really big. And that's a good thing. I think Altuve is learning what he's capable of doing. As we start accomplishing things.
Here's how the batting race stands right now. Both players 2 for 4. Altuve's hitting .343. Martinez hitting .333.
So what started as an 11-point lead is now to 10, even though both players have gone 2 for 4 on the night.
You might wonder why. Altuve has about 80 more at bats than Victor Martinez, so if Victor has the same kind of an evening, he's bound to gain just a tiny bit of ground on Jose.
But you know, if you're Victor Martinez or anybody else who thinks they've got an outside shot of winning the batting title, you have to keep looking at what Altuve is doing and saying, my gosh, I can't catch this guy this way.
Bradley fouls it back. It's going to be interesting to see how these final few days go. Less than 2 weeks remaining, 11 games left after tonight in the batting race. Over the years, people will look at numbers and they will say, for instance, to a player like Jose Altuve, your chances to win the batting championship are greater if you don't play. The odds are in your favor if you do not play. That's not in his nature.
No, it's not. You know, if he sat following tonight's game, I would say it's a safe bet that he wins the batting title. But it's not going to happen.
He won't sit. Three and two.
Ichiro Suzuki. Back in 2004, 262 hits. That's the most ever in a single season. And I'm not sure that's reachable. But Altuve again is on that 225-ish pace.
That might be the most since Ichiro.
Well, that's a really good question. What that probably is since 2004 at 2 1/4 would probably put Altuve right behind him.
Jeter had 216 in 2012.
That was that big rebound year for Jeter.
Joe Mauer won the batting title at age 24 or younger in 06. Off the mid of Singleton. Here's Altuve recovering back to Singleton. 3-4-3.
Guy's kind of good, isn't he? John Singleton tried to take the short hop by sweeping that glove through there. It didn't pan out, but you still get the out when you've got Altuve in the neighborhood.
He makes the baseball do magical things. Now here's Carlos Santana. Santana 0 for 2 with a walk with an RBI. Altuve, by the way, now has 615 at bats. Club record set by Enos Cabell, 660, 1978.
That was my teammate, and take him anytime.
Line shot over Altuve into right field for a single. Santana's aboard with one out for Kipnis now. Well, you reflect on all the years you had as a player. You talked about Billy Doran, what a fine second baseman he was. We mentioned Nellie Fox earlier, Joe Morgan, of course Craig Biggio. Now it's Altuve. And it's a special moment to watch him on a night like this just do what he's done. You know, a lot of times guys get on the verge of a record and they hit a little stopping point, a little speed bump. And it's tough for them to get to that final mark, whatever the number is. He just went right on past it tonight.
I thought in watching Altuve in Seattle on the recent road trip that he was feeling that weight and that it was starting to get to him. He had taken an 0 for 9 to start that Seattle series. And he came right back and got 2 hits that night, starting what now is a 6-game streak with multiple hits. Just getting a hit can lift the weight off, and maybe that happened with Jose. Who's to say? But he's taken the burden, if that's what it's been, and made it as light as a guy could possibly make it, at least appearance-wise. He's been phenomenal, and to watch Craig Biggio and Nolan Ryan stand and applaud him, I think it speaks volumes.
What a great moment that is for Jose Altuve to see those two guys applauding.
There's a couple of the game's greats that played in Astros unis.
Over shortstop out to left center field. That's in for a looping hit. Fowler over to play it. And he throws behind the runner who gets back. A single for Kipnis. Back-to-back hits with one out. And Chisenhall will be next. Just checking before this game tonight, Ash. The batting average in the American League was .258. Aviles, the pinch runner there for Kipnis. He will probably stay in play second, as he did last night.
I'm not sure I get that unless Kipnis is ailing in some way.
I think he may be. Chisenhall's 1 for 3. This one kicks away, but not very far from Stassi.
But Bronny, don't you in some sense kind of run out of words in terms of what a guy like Altuve is doing right now, and just kind of let what you see explain it. And the only thing I continue to come back on with Jose is that question mark at the age of 24. Has he set the bar for himself, and this is where he now goes?
Come on now, come on, Jose, come on.
2 balls, no strikes. That's what we all enjoy so much about baseball. Watching somebody have what we think might be a career year, and then maybe it's not. Or is it? That's why people keep watching this game, for one reason.
And then the other thing I continue to go back on with Altuve is the consistency of greatness this year. June 19th, he got the batting average over .330. Now that's tough to do, and now start maintaining it. Not one game that has ended has left Jose below .330 since June 19th. I want to tell you, I don't care how good you are, guys fluctuate, but the fluctuation has been so minute for Jose.
It really has, and he's a player who does not walk much. He's walked 34 times this year. So that puts even more pressure on him to keep grinding out those at-bats and producing the hits, and that's what he's done. He has not had a major slump all season. We were looking at some numbers on his worst 12-game stretches all year before the game tonight, and his worst 12-game stretches haven't been bad.
$11 hits in 12 games was a worst on the season for Jose. There are plenty of players that would call that a hot streak through their careers, and you're sitting near one.
It's got to be a relief for him, though, to have that record tucked away. Jake Buchanan is working in the bullpen right now. And Josh Tomlin for the Indians. Grounded foul. Most hits in a 12-game stretch, 26. Fewest hits in a 12-game stretch, 11.
Well, that's kind of intriguing, because with tonight's game, 12 games to play in the season. So the rule of 12s for Jose.
Yeah. Drive up the right field line near the foul pole is the foul ball. That keeps it at 3-2 to Chisenhall. De Leon, pitcher number 3 of the night. Brian Shaw working in the bullpen for Cleveland again. White Sox and Kansas City are tied 4-4 in the 6th. Chisenhall strikes out, 2 down. First punch out for De Leon. This is his second inning of work.
You know, and I also think a little bit about Jose Altuve. If you came out to the ballpark early and watched him take batting practice, I'm not sure you would leave with your eyes wide open thinking, wow, that was amazing. But then that's the same story that a lot of the great players, the great hitters, have utilized. They use batting practice in a different way than some of the mediocre players who put on a show trying to hit home runs and whatever the case may be. It's just a little bit of work warm-up for the Altuves of the world. Hits a few balls to the right side and a few back up the middle, and maybe tries to barrel a few balls and just get it loosened up. And again, it's been the ploy of some of the really good ones, and I can think of Craig Biggio and Jeff Bagwell, and batting practice was not a display.
A warm-up.
That's it. You fine-tune that engine and make sure everything was firing precisely. And
well, we've seen it with both Altuve and Chris Carter that they have learned how to prepare for a major league game with their work habits to bring everything to a peak at game time, not at 5 o'clock when they're having batting practice. Marwin Gonzalez makes the throw across to John Singleton. It's no runs, 2 hits, and 2 men left in the middle of the 8th inning. 4-1 Cleveland.
Season involving the Astros, so we asked y'all on Twitter what you thought was the most intriguing storyline for the Astros in the second half of the season. Let's see what y'all tweeted me, huh? Texas Fury 93 tweeted, Colin McHugh's string of dominance following a month or so of injuries. He is now healthy and is mastering the art of pitching. Juan Baby J13 tweets how Chris Carter has improved. Last year he was striking out, and now this year he is striking bombs. I love the writing there. Thank you very much for tweeting me at Ho-Chan CSN. Guys, over to you.
Thank you, Howard. An interesting night continues. The bottom of the 8th coming, and the Tribe going to the bullpen, also to the bench for Justin Sellers, playing third base for Lonnie Chisenhall. And Mike Avila stays in to play second after pinch hitting.
Brian Shaw on the hill. He's been a workhorse. 71-plus innings on the year. The right-hand hitter is getting destroyed by this righty. 2.65 the ERA overall, so he's been awfully tough.
Lately, he's run into a few speed bumps. 5-5 with a 2.65 ERA, but you're right. It's been a very good year overall. Chris Carter, the batter. Strike one after Kluber set a new high with a 14 strikeout game. That was the most by an Indian since Bartolo Colon had a 14 strikeout game in '98. Carter 1 for 3. Shaw delivers a ball to him that makes the count 1-1. Shaw's 26 years old. Second round pick by Arizona in '08. Traded to Cleveland in a multiplayer deal after the 2012 season. Carter fouls it back. It's 0-2. Shaw pitched in all 3 games against the Astros in Cleveland, August 22nd, 23rd, 24th. And in those 3 innings, he gave up a total of 1 run. Last year, he pitched 70 times. 1-2. This Indian bullpen leads the American League in wins with 32. 32 wins, 21 losses, and a 3.19 ERA for the Tribe relievers. Shaw's been a big part of the late inning setup role. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 3-2 now. So right-handed batters are hitting only 171 off Shaw. Marwin Gonzalez on deck, then Singleton due up. That's ball 4. Carter taking one up and in for a leadoff walk. 4-1 ball game. The Indians lead the Astros, and Houston trying to come back now against Terry Francona's Tribe, which got a 2-run homer from Yan Gomes in the 6th. Has had an outstanding night from Corey Kluber, who struck out 14 Astros in 7 innings. Bill Brown, Alan Ashby, Layla Rahimi, and Howard Chen with you tonight on Game 2 of a 4-game series. Marwin Gonzalez is 2 for 3 tonight. An RBI single in the 1st, a bunt single in the 4th. Third baseman Sellers is in tight. Vilas and Ramirez set up for a double play, and there's strike 1 for Shaw. Shaw gave up a go-ahead homer at Detroit on Saturday in the 8th inning to catcher Alex Avila. Left-handed hitters have given him much bigger problems than right-handed batters this year. 94, he burns off the corner, and it's 0-2. That was a tough pitch.
The glove of Yan Gomes made it sound like 104.
It sure did.
That never helps the psyche of the hitter.
Left-handed hitters are managing a .293 average against Shaw. That's 120 points higher than right-handed hitters. 1-2 to Marwin. Shaw's leading in games pitched in the American League. This is number 75. Has 21 holds. He's in the top 6th in that department. He was born in Camp Pendleton, California.
Come on, Marvin. Come on, Marvin.
Army brat, huh?
Yeah, must be. Went to Cal State Long Beach.
Camp Pendleton, is that the Marines?
Yes. It is the Marine base. High chop to shortstop. Out at second. Safe at first. Ramirez got Carter on a 6 unassisted play at second.
I thought that was well played at shortstop. The most logical chance seemed to be just dashing to the bag. Second baseman had a ways to come. Nice job by Marwin beating it out.
And clearly he did. John Singleton has struck out twice looking and walked tonight. Batting average at 173 for Singleton. He's now 0 for his last 13. Strike 1. White Sox and Royals are tied 4-4 in the bottom of the 6th inning at Kansas City. Very important game for the Royals, trying to keep the heat on Detroit. They trail the Tigers by a game and a half. Tigers have lost tonight 4-3 in Minnesota. So that gives Kansas City an opening now to cut it to a half-game lead for Detroit. And they would be even in the loss column if Kansas City gets that win over the White Sox.
Yeah, and KC, they should be able to hear that door creaking open again.
Brad Ausmus will not have an easy situation getting to the playoffs this year with that Detroit club. 1-2. Everybody was joking about Brad taking over that club and waltzing to a World Series in his first year as the manager. It's been anything but a waltz.
On paper, they look like they had a starting staff that could not be beat. Heart of the order, tremendous. The heart of the order has been great, but their pitching has not been as advertised.
Joe Nathan got a blown save and a loss tonight.
Word is he has been struggling hugely.
His ERA is 5.10. He ruined a night for Rick Porcello involving 8 innings and 2 earned runs allowed. Detroit got 3 in the ninth to take a 3-2 lead and gave up 2 in the bottom of the ninth to lose 4-3. 2-2. That's a tough loss for the Tigers. We're now 84-67.
They've got Miguel Cabrera, Victor Martinez, and JD Martinez in the heart of that order, just tearing it up. Torrey Hunter's been good. Ian Kinsler's been good.
3-2 to Singleton now. They just got back Joaquin Soria from an injury, and he pitched well last night. So watching that on the highlights today, of course, a lot of people were probably thinking, wonder how long Nathan's going to hang on to his closing job. Now after tonight, maybe even more so.
As short a time as Soria can make it would be my response.
3-2 coming to Singleton. Stassi on deck. He fouls it away. Victor Martinez wound up 2 for 4 in that game and is hitting .333.
You know, as long as Altuve continues to get at least a knock a night, maybe a couple on most of his games as he's been doing, you don't even need to worry about Victor Martinez. Of course, we're all going to watch.
Singleton strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. 15 strikeouts for the Astros in this game. Stassi's 1 for 3. He singled in the 4th inning. Presley's on deck. Cleveland's 3.19 bullpen ERA is 4th best in the American League. Strike to Stassi. The National League batting leader coming into games tonight was Harrison of Pittsburgh at .317. Their 7, 8, and their 8, 9, 10 hitters were hitting under .300. That's a single up the middle by Stassi. Stassi's 2 for 4 tonight, and that gets a potential tying run to the plate. Alex Presley.
Yeah, I have to say, I tend to agree with what I've been hearing from a couple of people about this guy becoming a major league hitter. Numbers not good at AAA, and yet those are good-looking swings. Staying right on the pitch.
Hit number 8 for the Astros keeps them in the game. Gets Presley to the plate. He's 0 for 3. Only 1 extra base hit for Houston tonight. The 5th inning double by Altuve.
Brownie, watch out for Buster Posey in that National League batting race once again.
Where's he right now?
311 is what I see him at. He's been coming on like gangbusters.
Cody Allen's warming up for the Tribe, their closer. One to Presley. Team is on deck.
Posey is the present-day Joe Mauer a bit.
Yeah. Cody Allen with 20 saves gets loose.
Wonder how Joe Mauer, still playing in the game, would feel about hearing that statement.
Well, he's been through rough times. All the way, and it's 1-1. Ubaldo Jimenez got his 5th win in that Orioles 8-2 conquest of the Blue Jays tonight. Presley looks at strike 2. Alex, one of those players who has had an extended time off due to an injury and trying to make something now out of this month of September before going home for the winter. He went 3 for 14 on the road trip. He was out with a right oblique strain for almost 2 months. Milwaukee and St. Louis are tied in the 10th, 2-2. Awfully important game for the Brewers. They have slipped back. They're 5 games behind the Cardinals. Astros are 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position tonight. There's a play by the catcher, Gomes, and it's 2-2. Congratulations to Jason Castro. He was the Astros nominee for the 2014 Roberto Clemente Award. One player represents each team, and then there will be an overall winner. And you can vote for that online. Line drive left field. Brantley over. That'll score Marwin Gonzalez. And it's 4-2. Stassi stopping at second on the RBI single by Presley. His 15th run batted in.
Hey, it's tough when you're a guy that doesn't play every day. But I would have to say the impression left by Alex Presley when he's been healthy is this guy's a pretty good player. Really nice job hitting the ball the other way on the line.
Jason Castro's going to pinch hit for Gregorio Petit.
Yeah, it's one big swing time, Brownie.
Yep. Castro would love to provide that one big swing that gives the Astros the lead. It probably won't be against Shaw, though. Terry Francona has his closer, Cody Allen, warmed up. And left-handed hitters, as we talked about, have done a number this year on Shaw, who gives up the baseball. Cleveland leading at 4-2, calling on bullpen pitcher number 2 of the night. Jake Marisnick is going in to pinch run for Stassi at second. We'll be right back with the score, 4-2 Tribe. Astros 2. The Jose Altuve show continues in earnest tomorrow night as the Astros and Indians continue to battle it out at Minute Maid Park. Pre-game live starts tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. only on Comcast Sportsnet.
And now a look at tomorrow night's pitching matchup presented by Chevron. Care for your car. It will be Carlos Carrasco for those mighty engines, 7-5 on the year, 286, nice ERA, and a whip at 103. He's been really good. Brett Oberholzer needs some run support and maybe some fortune on his side. 5-11, 451. Last 5 starts, 1-3 with a 7 earning.
The Astros have cut into that Cleveland lead. They use a pinch runner, Jake Marisnick, at second for Max Stassi, who leaves the game after a 2-for-4 night. Alex Presley at first. He just knocked in run number 2. Now it's Cody Allen, the closer for the Tribe, with a 5-4 record and a 2.10 ERA. And Jason Castro is the pinch hitter now for Petit. Castro had a nice evening last night. He had 2 hits and 3 at-bats. Hit the ball to left field all 3 times up. Infield is shifted around. Shortstop Ramirez is up the middle. Astros crowded by that pitch at 95, and it's ball 1. Castro had a 3-for-22 road trip. And last night might have been the night that gets him started.
Started that opposite field stroke again very naturally.
That's out to left field. That's hit well. Brantley back. Brantley with a catch on the warning track to end the 8th inning for Houston with 1 run scoring, 2 hits, 2 men left. 4-2 Cleveland, moving to the 9th. Is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. Now the Astros make some changes after making some moves. Pinch running, pinch hitting. Matt Dominguez now takes over at third base. Gregorio Petit left for the pinch hitter Jason Castro. Castro's getting his gear on so he can take over behind the plate for Max Stassi. And here's the new pitcher, Jake Buchanan.
Jake Buchanan, not overpowering. Now in his 14th game. A couple of starts mixed in there, 1-3. Opposing hitters, though, have hit .310 against him. Going to have to find a way to steadily be down in the strike zone more consistently. And he's also allowed 3 homers in 28 innings. Not a bad figure.
Jake making those 2 starts showed the ability to work both in the rotation as a spot starter and make that relief appearance as he's done. He gets the 9th inning in a 4-2 game, and it'll be J.B. Shuck pinch hitting now. For Aguilar, the DH, leading it off. Jason Castro staying in to do the catching. Shuck, the former Astro, then was with the Angels. He had a very good year for the Angels last year. They let him go in a trade to Cleveland earlier this month. He's hit only 147 this season. Spent time at AAA. Has 2 homers, 9 runs batted in. Shuck takes a look at it, and it's ball 1. Strike to the 27-year-old outfielder from Ohio State, born in Westerville, Ohio. He hit .293 last year for the Halos. Pulls this one. There's Singleton falling, but hanging onto the baseball for out number 1.
Man, I thought J.D. Shuck did a really nice job with the Angels, but they've wound up with a pretty good outfield even without Josh Hamilton at times this year.
Sure have.
It's a good looking player.
He just got caught up in a numbers game. There was a lot of talent in that outfield, so he's moved along and made a bid for a hit there, but Singleton stayed with it nicely.
Doing more and more of that.
David Murphy takes it, and it's ball 1 from Buchanan. Astros in the bottom of the 9th have the top 3 hitters in the lineup due up. Grossman, Altuve, and Fowler. 1-1 to Murphy. Buchanan worked a scoreless inning Friday night against the Angels. Out to left center field. Robbie Grossman. 2 down. Been 8 players who have made their major league debuts for the Astros this year. Buchanan, one of those 8. He'll turn 25 before the end of this month. Jake, an 8th round pick in 2010. He's from Charlotte, North Carolina. Went to North Carolina State along with Russell Wilson. There was a Sports Illustrated story on the Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson. He'd still like to play baseball someday. Strike for Michael Bourne.
Watching his abilities on the football field, I think he made the right choice. Number 1, he is very special. But number 2, he looks like the kind of athlete that might be able to cross over.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Deion Sanders did it well. Of course, Bo Jackson. I actually saw Deion Sanders a couple of years ago, late in the season, about this time of year, in Baltimore, had his entourage around, put on a uniform, took batting practice, and looked like he could have played that night.
Really?
Yep. Yep.
Robbie Grossman, by the way, has 8 putouts in left field tonight. He'll get one more at bat on his birthday in the bottom of the 9th. Bourne strikes out, and Robbie Grossman will be batting very soon. 4-2 Indians.
Ninth inning, and now time for our Mako big hit of the game. We had a couple of those tonight. Jose Altuve had the bat in his hand in each case. This double was number 210 to tie him on the all-time list for the Astros with Craig Biggio. A huge hit, and another one of those two baggers for Jose Altuve on the season. And so then he strolled to the plate after tipping to the crowd and acknowledging Craig Biggio and all that, and got number 211 in his next at bat. Sixth consecutive game with multiple hits. Jose Altuve has been phenomenal, a runaway winner in the major leagues this year in number of hits.
Twitter is blowing up for Jose Altuve tonight. One night to watch, and now he gets one more chance. Here's strike one as the bottom of the ninth begins for Cody Allen. With a 4-2 Cleveland lead, trying to nail down his 21st save of the year. And that would be win number 16 for Corey Kluber if he does it. Bobby Grossman now falls behind 0-2 on a night when he has struck out 3 times and walked on his 25th birthday. 7-game hitting streak on the line for Grossman. New right fielder is Tyler Holt, taking over for David Murphy. That's another strikeout. Gomes with a throw to Santana. 4th strikeout of the night for Grossman, number 16 for Indian pitching.
And Robbie's found himself caught looking not only to strike out, but for strikes leading to the 3rd strike so many times that it felt like on that final one there that he decided, I've got to swing, and that puts you in a bad spot.
Altuve 2 for 4 tonight with a current batting average of .343. He had hit .408 in the month of September before this game. Fouls it away, strike one. He's attacking this batting race as if he needs to overtake someone else.
That's exactly right. He is putting the charge on.
Far from protecting any lead. 0-2 to Altuve. This is only the 8th pitch he's seen tonight. Very aggressive approach. And a strikeout, or a swing and a miss. Yes, it is a strikeout for out number 2.
Looked like Altuve was asking if there was some agreement that he had fouled that pitch, but an argument he didn't win. Well, even in the hottest of streaks, pitcher's going to win out on occasions.
He was arguing foul ball. Angel Hernandez didn't buy it. Only the 51st time Altuve has struck out. Dexter Fowler is 0 for 4. He's whiffed 3 times. It's been a strikeout parade for these Indians pitchers tonight. 17 total.
There have only been 9 Astros batters making out by putting the ball in play.
That's rare. Fowler goes to a 1-1 count. The Astros have struck out more than 1,300 times this season. They'll still finish far short of the number of times they struck out last year, which was over 1,500. '17 ties their high for this season. Fowler goes to a 1-2 count now. They struck out 17 times at Philadelphia August 5th. The Indians perhaps a pitch away from snapping their 4-game losing streak. The Royals lead the White Sox 5-4. They're in the top of the 7th at Kansas City. A vital game for the Royals. They can pick up 1 on Detroit and be a half game back. 2-2. Angels lead early 2-0 on Seattle. They're in the bottom of the fourth. That Seattle club slipping back. At 13.5 out now. It continues at 2-2. Chris Carter on deck, so Fowler can reach. Catch a tying run comes up in a man who's hit 36 bombs this year. Corey Rasmus is getting that start for the Angels. He's gone 4 scoreless so far tonight against Roenis Elias. Fly ball out to right. Tyler Holt. And the Indians have snapped their 4-game losing streak on a night when Jose Altuve has set new ground.